It is 6 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Will Bowling. The NCAA tournament begins today with the first four in Dayton. North Carolina and San Diego State will battle in the matchup of 11 seeds. UNC closed the season strong with just 2 losses to Duke in their last 10 games, including in the ACC semifinals. Since the 2010 season, San Diego State owns the 6th best record in the nation with 411 wins. In this season's Mountain West tournament, San Diego State lost in the quarterfinals to Boise State. The winner of that game will face 6-seeded Ole Miss on Thursday in the round of 64. A pair of 16 seeds will square off for the right to take on overall number 1 seed Auburn when St. Francis out of Pennsylvania battles Alabama State in the opener of the first 4. That winner obviously gets Auburn Thursday in a first round South Region game in Lexington, Kentucky. In the NFL, free agent pass rusher Azeez Ojulari has agreed to a 1-year contract with the Philadelphia Eagles, and ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reports that deal is worth $4 million. The Minnesota Vikings have released longtime center Garrett Bradbury. The 29-year-old was selected 18th at the 2019 draft and has manned the position for the last 6 seasons. He has started all 88 games he has appeared in for the Vikings, including all 17 last season. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. RKW is brewed by Scooters Coffee. Kick it off your Tuesday morning on 104.5 The Zone. You can kick off your morning with a cup of Scooters Coffee with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. 615-737-1045 is the number with the full crew here in studio. This is not 3HL. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I wish we could skip to afternoon already. My goodness.
No, don't even get me started with that one because Thursday, Friday is very interesting for the entire station except for the morning. So we'll just leave it alone.
That's true.
I'm
That's
not
true.
gonna
I
be bitter.
forgot about that.
Not gonna be bitter at all. Okay, I understand what March Madness is to the nation and also to the station. So I've just
no shows for those days.
I've coped. That's all it is. I've coped, man. But good morning, good people. Good morning.
We're up. We're at it. We got scooters. That's all that matters.
We do. I got a good cup. I put a little bit of collagen in mine this morning,
Look at
too.
you.
Yeah, I did. Just mix it up just a little bit. Just a little bit. By the way, speaking of collagen and workouts and gyms and stuff like
still
that.
going early?
Yeah, no, I didn't go early.
Okay.
I'm going mid-mornings now, which is even better. Okay, I got a little bit extra time on my hands. Shouldn't say that over the radio. People going to want to use that time up. But with that being said, man, the gym is a unique place. And I've said this before. It's very unique, man. It is just like a lot of people trying to get right. Some are already where they want to be. Others are trying to get there, okay? Sure. What stops people from getting there is couples who lift, okay?
Oh. Really?
Couples who lift. I don't see a lot of that. I see it. Really? Like, usually daily. I'm seeing, you know, a dude walk in with his boot thing or vice versa. You feel what I'm saying? But the PDA, okay, at like the leg press and leg curl machines and stuff, like stop the kissing in the gym, couples. Like, I get like have a little flirtation going on, but if you stopping me from doing leg curls, like because you over there just booed up and trying to proclaim your love in front of a bunch of like dudes sweating in the gym, maybe the gym ain't for y'all, okay?
Private gym, maybe.
Man, like, keep that at home. I'm in there trying to get my 30 to 45 minutes in and get out. That's what I'm trying to do. And then go hit the Stairmasters. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to see y'all with a love triangle going on in the gym. You, the leg press, and your boot thing. Y'all stop that. All right. That's just, I ain't gonna lie to you. I know we had what's saying, you're not that guy yesterday, but I was ready to key it up again.
Leg press is very romantic.
Listen, Bill Belichick told us that this weekend.
Oh, God. He did that yoga pose on the beach.
There's a picture of him
with his
like
23-year-old
vaulting his young girlfriend.
Yeah.
On his legs.
I mean, props
like
that he could still have the power to do that.
He got to do nothing.
He's been
hitting the leg press.
Yeah, he better
Shout
be
out
on
Bill. He's got that old man strength.
Carolina.
He's living his best life.
Man.
I don't know.
Strength.
Every picture I see, I keep forgetting it's not his daughter. I'm just like, so weird.
He got a daughter. But what I'm telling you is this. Unless y'all on the beach like Carolina Bill, don't bring that to the gym, man. Like, I get it. You trying to show everybody y'all really in love, but the gym ain't the place for that.
It's not the spot for it.
Yeah, leave that alone.
I'm with you on that one, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah, but other than that, man, it was a solid day yesterday. Both Miles' games got canceled, but so
It was nice though, right?
It was. Well, they got some of the parents got mad, which is cool though too. The softball, like Hendersonville, is huge at the parks for softball over the weekends, and all of them, of course, got rained out. Will can contest to that. It was just bad in Hendersonville, and they had to make up softball games yesterday. It was super fascinating.
Okay.
Yeah, so they kind of
canceled
canceled the boys' game. Yeah.
Well, today's nice too. So if you want to get out and about, then you should do it.
It's supposed to be one of those types of days, but yeah, that's my soapbox. I'm done. I'm off of. Also, just read an article this morning too. The Titans, they did power rankings.
Yeah.
You know where the Titans are post free agency?
Last.
32.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we're not surprised by this.
I know.
I thought maybe 31. Maybe they'd give him a 31.
Why?
I don't know.
Finished last year.
I know
they did. I know, but
they haven't made any major additions other than a left tackle that a lot of people don't like.
You know, it's just one of them situations where you get in trouble at school, you finally get home, like you realize, oh yeah, I still am in trouble. That's all it was for me. Seeing them at 32 was just like, dang. This is reality. I guess they are picking number one overall. Yeah, it's just reality kicking in right now. But
well, there is some news that comes out of yesterday. Jeremy Fowler on the Dan Patrick Show. Did you guys hear this? Talking about the number one overall pick, talking about Cam Ward, says clearly the Titans like Cam Ward very much.
Could you see the Giants actually try? I don't know if Tennessee's going to actually take Cam Ward. They sound like they are, but I don't believe anything until it happens. But can you see the Giants being aggressive with either one of these quarterbacks?
Yes. And even before the Aaron Rodgers talk, when they were going for Matthew Stafford, like they spent a month on trying to get Matthew Stafford and put together big financial packages, and they were sort of left at the altar. But the sense coming out of the combine was if they strike out on Stafford, they're going to go draft. They're going to go heavy there with that third pick, maybe try to trade up. I still think that's a possibility. If you get Rodgers or even Wilson to a lesser extent like that, at least frees you up to not have to do that if you don't want to give up too much. But some of that was predicated on Tennessee wanting to move back. It does seem like now, again, a lot can happen with the draft. I won't make sweeping determinations, but from what I've gathered, they seem pretty comfortable with Cam Ward. Like there's some momentum there with other teams I've talked to league-wide that they feel like they're just going to sit there and take Ward. I know the interviews with Ward have gone well. They feel comfortable with like the mistakes he has made on the field. They feel like he's done a good job of explaining those and can be coached and correct them. And he's got the obvious upside on top of that. So if you equal all that out, you sense a little momentum for the Titans to sit put. That could complicate things for the Giants if they're comfortable with Shador at 3 or even moving up to 2. Is that too rich?
That was the question from Jeremy Fowler with the reporting there that the Titans clearly have liked what they've heard from Cam Ward.
That's the most we've seen or heard, I think, about details. It's been so mum from them in terms of those top 30 visits. And even meeting with Cam at the Combine, I mean, you heard that they liked him, but you didn't hear the details about, talking through some of the mistakes, showing some of those mistakes. And that was one thing I thought on the top 30 visit, they probably were going to do a lot of, right? Get him on the board, go through some of the film where you're making those kind of boneheaded turnovers, because that's something that absolutely they can't have continue. I mean, it's going to happen once in a while in terms of turnovers, but the boneheaded ones, you can't have a repeat of Will Levis. And there has been some film, and I've watched it firsthand in games where Cam has done some of those things. But if they're comfortable that he can be coached through that and that can be fixed, then they probably will move forward, because I think that's the biggest thing that was holding probably teams back.
It was that, and the players of the Giants too. You know what I'm saying? Like hearing them oversell out for Matthew Stafford, that in itself I think is why the Titans are projected to take Cam number one, other than the fact they need a quarterback too. To see that they took a month, man, of courting Matthew Stafford and it still fell through and he still went back to his old team in LA, man, that's somewhat telling. Also, I'm guessing it's probably just as much money, if not equal or more. And he still said no. Those are the things you're getting yourself into, to where the Giants now, I feel like they just got to just be settled in what they want to do. And that right there, I think, forces the Titans into picking Cam. Again, if they're in love with Cam Ward, nothing else matters at that point. But if you are trying to build that thing up and try to move back, that's always going to be the conversation. We spoke a little bit about, we sent messages yesterday in our group chats about, like, Azeez Ojulari, like, being on the sign for $4 million. Like, that's a conversation for later, but you look at that and say, well, what are the Titans going to do defensively as far as, like, edge rush when you still have so many other needs? It's, again, coaching's going to be put to a test, I feel like, more than anything this year, as far as what you have available, specifically if you look at what's left on the free agency market, and it's not the tier that you want it to. Again, it seems kind of, to me, planned to be mediocre in a sense, but I can't project that on the Titans front office. I can't project that on the Titans coaching staff, because being mediocre in this league gets you fired. They're not in a position to be that. But you do got to find more bodies to help you have a sustainable team. And if it starts with the quarterback, you have the opportunity to go get you a Bo Nix, essentially, for your franchise, and all is well.
I've got 3 words for you. It's March 18th. It's March 18th. I don't know. Plenty of time still to make moves. The thing that is surprising to me, though, is how many one-year deals are already being done in the lower end of free agency all around the league. That, to me, like, you talk about a 1-year, $4 million deal for a middle-of-the-road, lower-end edge rusher at Azeez Ojulari. Like, I saw Rashad Weaver got a deal yesterday with the New York Jets.
Oh, yeah, I did.
You're talking about moves that you could typically make in June, right before training camp. But there will still be another wave of guys, veteran players, who don't want to go to voluntary or mandatory off-season workouts in the summer, who just want to go to training camp, who you'll be able to bring in.
Yeah.
I don't have specific names on that because there are too many to count, to be honest with you. But we're going to talk about that coming up at the wide receiver position. Are the Titans relying too much on the NFL draft to address the wide receiver position? 615-737-1045. We'll talk about that next. RKW is brewed by Scooter's Coffee on 104.5 The Zone as we begin your Tuesday morning. Austin Price with us at 8:20 today. Back for his weekly visit. And David Cobb of CBS Sports will join us talking college hoops at 9:20 on day one of the NCAA tournament. Kind of. It's like day 0.5.
Yeah.
Of the NCAA tournament.
What a blue blood playing today, though. That's crazy.
Yeah, San Diego State, really big. See them playing.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. Are the Titans relying too much on the draft to address wide receiver? Yes or no?
Yes, they are, in my opinion. They are right now, yes. Specifically, the second, third wave of free agency, if I can just give a quick answer, man. Yes, I think so.
I tend to agree for the fact that there's so much unprovenness, not only currently in that room, but in the draft, it's not a given either. And I think with the Van Jefferson signing, no shade against Van Jefferson. I really think he's a great dude, whatever, but I just don't really get that signing. I just don't understand. Maybe that is the veteran signing in that room, but the production, you just didn't see a lot out of it over the past couple of years. So I guess I keep even forgetting about that because to me, it's not as significant of a free agent signing in terms of adding to that room.
I think Van is more of a fit thing for Coach Callahan more than the actual, I guess, talent. Well, here's the thing. Van was a former second rounder, though, too.
Yeah.
Last year in Pittsburgh, like watching him in Pittsburgh, it wasn't a whole lot there for him as it pertains to who they were going to. George was going to get the line share. Calvin Austin came out of nowhere, and they got tight ends, too. So there were other avenues beside him. Heck, Pittsburgh's passing game in general wasn't what I wanted to. Don't ask me how I know these things, but it just wasn't there anyway. I do know Van was a great leader for their wide receiver room. There was a lot there. I don't necessarily fault him more than anything. I guess my biggest issue is the immediate response that you're going to need from somebody young through the draft. That's where it becomes a little bit problematic for me in the sense that, all right, if this wide receiver class isn't what the one last year's proclaimed to have been, and what we saw it be too, Michael Thomas Jr. being one of those guys, there's a lot of talent that came out of last year's draft, and out of respect for the ones coming out this year, speaking about Tet, Meka Ibuka, and a few others this year, right? They have question marks behind them too.
Luther Burden, I would say, has question marks as well.
Yeah, Luther Burden's another one has question marks behind him, man. Isaiah Bond does. Trey Harris. There's a lot of guys. Matthew Golden. There's a bunch of ifs and buts with this class this year.
You could hit or it could be a miss.
I mean, it seems to be the way they're looking at this. These are guys that may be your 2s and 3s. Mm-hmm. Last year's draft class was your 1s and 2s. I mean, your 1s for the most part, especially on the early part of the draft, right? That's what it turned into. The reason I have a bigger problem with doing all of this through the draft is, and pressure's a privilege. It's always a privilege as when it comes down to sports, right? If you're asked to do something or, hey, be a star, man, they think highly of you is what this is. But you look at this situation at the Titans, and at this point, you ain't got to take. It's the assumption that you're going to take Cam Ward at number one. Mm-hmm. When his ability to be your quarterback in his rookie year with a lot of newness around him. And not just that, you have, to your point, Calvin Ridley, you have Van Jefferson, right? That's what you're getting yourself into. And if you want a rookie to come in through the draft, whether that be a second-round pick when there's needs there at other positions too, or a fourth-round pick, the expectation that you want this individual to be successful. Let's go fourth round. One of your fourth-round picks has to be a wide receiver. The talent, as far as what you're asking him to do, may be lower than what his abilities are in year one.
You're reaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the expectation for a rookie wide receiver
that's what you're saying.
is high.
Fourth-round pick is a project that you hope develops into a starter by the end of their rookie contract.
Yes.
Right. And they might go in the second round and get a receiver as well. So we don't know that. But that's not a guarantee either when you're young with a young quarterback. And the other point I wanted to add to that.
And there's no indictment, there's no push against Cam to saying that he can't do it with what he's, what he's been asked. But you're behind.
It's a lot of pressure,
you're kind of behind the wall a little bit.
Right. Yeah. And look at the room right now currently. Even with Calvin Ridley, guys, even with Calvin Ridley as a number one, and you're more so veteran receiver in there, I'm going to put this out there. And I know that there might be some pushback on because some of it is on Will Levis. It took Calvin a minute to get comfortable with how he was able to execute with Will Levis, Mason Rudolph. Obviously, further down the line, things got easier for him and he started doing what he needed to do. I think Calvin Ridley sometimes is a bit of a slow burner when it comes to building that connection with the quarterback. And that is stuff that I've heard down in Jacksonville, too, from our friend Mia. She's came on the show and talked about it. I've also talked with her off air about it. And so that's another thing where when you look at the room in terms of Calvin, he's not that instant guy where you're like, okay, no matter who he's paired up with, we're going to see instant success, right? You kind of have to see this right now with Calvin and Cam, if Cam gets drafted, because what else is there in that room where you're saying, oh, that's the dominant number one? So then that makes you feel more uneasy about having then to risk going and getting younger guys because you don't know what that chemistry is yet either.
See, the thing is, like, Calvin's supposed to be the dominant number one, too.
Making $28 million against the cap. Like, there's no doubt he's number one. Yeah. I want to find a 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying in terms of, do you get my point? I'm like, he's a number one, but he's not, to me, he's not dominant enough he's not proven enough here early to be like that, where Cam's going to need that right away to feel comfortable with what he already has.
I mean, despite all of that, he still had 1,000 yards last year.
I know, but it came on, my point is it came on later. It took a while for him to even have that connection.
Yeah, I actually roll with you there. Okay. Like, his ability to be a stud, last year, it seemed to me he's a strong 2. It did. Like, and that's out of respect for him. And he didn't ask for a good team. For a good team. Yes, for a good team.
This isn't a good team.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
That's what separates good teams from bad teams. Your wide receiver 1s and your bad teams are wide receiver 2s on good teams. And this isn't a good team.
And that ain't a bad thing if you're on a good team, right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
that's what you're wanting. And
you want those problems.
That's why, like, having this less of picks and this disjointed of a roster essentially is what sucks most about, like, trying to parse through what the best draft picks are going to be for this squad. Like, I'm seeing in the chat already. Trade Calvin.
Yeah, I saw trade Calvin for a 3rd-round pick. 31-year-old receivers making $28 million don't get traded for 3rd-round picks.
Nope.
And then when you look at teams that may need a guy like him, Houston's full. I don't think Green Bay's in the market for that.
Division anyway.
Exactly. And then you like 49ers. They're at a pivot point also. Like, it's teams that you could have said, yeah, we'll ship them off to. Dallas, they're full.
It's not worth what you're going to get back for what you need right now. You're not in the position to create more holes for day 3 draft capital. No. If you're the Titans. Like, you're just going to get what you got for DeAndre Hopkins.
Essentially at this point.
That's the stage of his career he's at. He's making more money. So, yes, he's got more to offer maybe a team right now than DeAndre Hopkins did, but he's also making a lot more money. So I think like a 6th-round pick is all you could really get for Calvin Ridley.
This may be a 5th, Will. I mean, considering, like, there's
like $28 million.
A team who's in need. Like, that's what you're getting yourself into.
And you have $38 million of dead cap. Like, you're not trading Calvin Ridley.
So when we're speaking about, of course, drafting a quarterback and, like, this guy can reset your organization, and you can. Do you trust Callahan enough to be in a position to say, yes, I can call it with lesser talent? Because it's going to be that at this point, right? It's either going to be young or lesser talent with what's left on the free agency market, or if you got to go through the draft. And that is a rough place to be in. That's why it's kind of, for as much as you want to say, go get the quarterback, and I've lightly become on that boat. I've lightly bought my ticket and walked across and put my bags in storage. It's hard to just say that and do it, though, considering what we just parsed through right now.
It's hard to say you ever have to do anything. When you have to do something in the draft, you reach. When you have to take a receiver at the 35th pick, you are reaching based on guys you might not have potted at the 35th pick. I mean, if there's a run on receivers at the end of the 1st round, you still can't settle for a 3rd-round grade receiver based on your board at 35. And that is where the NFL is so much more different than college football. You can only draft or sign players who are available to you to draft or sign. You cannot just go recruit whoever you want around the country and build a team based on your system and your scheme. It is what makes this a difficult exercise that requires a certain amount of luck to have the right crop of players available to you at the right time. And unfortunately, the Titans picked a really bad year to need a quarterback and to need receivers.
Yeah, and but these are the cards that they were dealt, and they have to work with it. I mean, it's not a fair world, right? And it's not fair to the Titans either, but they've got to find a way to make this work, and it's probably not going to look great this first year. But if they believe they're taking the right baby steps to get to where they want to get to, that's all that matters in that front office. But it is going to probably be, in some situations for fans, a little bit hard of a pill to swallow. But the only thing you can do right now is not only trust in Borgonzi and them, but here's the other thing, guys. There is so much more pressure now on this staff to develop. And we talk about the wide receivers right now. It's one thing for Brian Callahan. He's got to probably develop a quarterback or help, bring him along, whoever that might be if they draft one. But you look at guys like Tyke Tolbert, who's on the staff still, right? He is going to be tasked with really developing some of these young guys, if that is the route they indeed go in. And if that doesn't happen this year, guys, you could not only be seeing Brian Callahan be going, but we could see another shift in the staff. And that's that's the pill that's hard to swallow.
So if they're over-reliant on the draft, what should they have done differently in free agency to not be over-reliant on the draft? Or is this just they got dealt a bad hand?
Azeez Ojulari pops up.
No, I'm talking about wide receiver.
Wide receivers?
Yeah. If I asked both of you guys, or were they over-reliant on the draft for wide receiver? You both said yes. Is there anything they could have done, or is this wrong place, wrong time to need one?
I think it's wrong place, wrong time. It is, point blank, period. Somebody in a chat just made the point I was going to say, too. You look at this situation, like the Titans have caused this in a sense. They missed on guys last year in free agency, and then in the draft also didn't hit. Like the over-reliance on Traylon Burks, in a sense, trying to make that work. And specifically, last year's team was structured way different than this was, too. It just kind of fell apart real fast.
And again, if you'd had a legitimate tackle in Dylan Radins, or if you'd had Isaiah Wilson,
That's true.
Or if you'd not missed on so many offensive line picks, you could have had the luxury to take Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
But you had to go fix the line again.
I was just going to say, selfishly, I would have loved to have seen Josh Palmer be here. Like, that's a guy that's played a lot with the Chargers in the last 3 years that he's been out there. You could have helped make that happen, like younger in a sense, too. And I say that because it's a name I'm familiar with because he's evolved. But also look at his pay, 3 for 29.
3 for 36.
It was 3 for 36?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Potential out. On this deal, it says 2 for 21. Like, I mean, it's a 2-year, $21 million deal
for a wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it, if they really felt like we needed a little bit more in this room. And again, I don't know about their thoughts on Traylon Burks, too, because we haven't mentioned him once, and I obviously know why, because I think we've all that ship has sailed. I think collectively agree with that. But
him
is
and Levis both, you think?
I mean, in my opinion, I don't see them fitting here anymore. Like, if you're trying to wipe your hands clear of players that didn't work, and we've seen it with a lot of these guys, like those are two that come to mind. But in terms of these wide receivers that were signed, I mean, you talk about like the Christian Kirks. I think the biggest thing for me is just Nick Westbrook-Akine. And I know that was more of what we're hearing now, his decision that he decided. But why didn't you want to sign here? That's the other thing.
You know why.
He told us at the end of the year he wants to be here, all this stuff. And supposedly they gave him a decent offer.
Apparently
and he
it
was
was
still
close.
like he wanted to walk. I think even that signing could have changed my mind a little bit about how I felt about this wide receiver room right now, just because I've watched NWI do this with all the quarterbacks he's had to work with, is he has had that fit right away, right? He's given you a little stability, and they don't have that in a 2 or 3.
Available wide receivers in free agency, Amari Cooper.
Yep.
30 years old, just over 500 yards last year. Not great. Stephon Diggs coming off of an ACL from Houston. Then you had the likes of DeAndre Hopkins, who signed with the Ravens. Like, just going through who was available to you in free agency. The Chiefs re-signed Hollywood Brown. Darius Slayton got 3 years, $36 million to go back to the New York Giants.
You see the money, though, this year also that's been pushed out? It wasn't a great class.
No. I mean, Keenan Allen's still out there. Keenan Allen, to me, is of the veteran options, the only one that really intrigues me.
33.
33 years old. Again, does Keenan Allen want to play with Cam Ward? Does he want to be a Titan at this point in his career? Does he want to not be on a contending team? A wide receiver? Probably not. Keenan Allen's never won a Super Bowl.
No.
He's been a Charger and a Bear.
Do you expect him to come to OTAs, minicamp, and everything before right now?
And again, the fact that Chicago desperately needs weapons and they aren't bringing him back yet is a little bit of a red flag. Like, why would the team that has been watching him play in practice for the last year not be more interested in bringing him back? I mean, Deontay Johnson, well, he was MIA. He was on a milk carton last year when his teams needed him. And then you get into the 1 year, $5 to $8 million range, like Mike Williams goes back to the Chargers. Joshua Palmer, he got paid a lot more than that to go back to the Chargers, like you mentioned, and some discrepancy in how much that contract really was. I mean, the only other younger guy that I feel like could really come here and add anything is Elijah Moore from Cleveland. But again, like, you're talking about a guy who's a 500-yard receiver, 600-yard receiver that you're hoping you could develop into something more. Essentially, right now in free agency, you got a bunch of wide receiver 4s that here would be 3s. And then you're drafted at 2. I think the Titans were just dealt a really bad hand at receiver. And this is, again, one of those examples where you can't fix everything in one offseason. And this, to me, is the thing they're just not going to be able to fix. And that really sucks for Cam Ward. That really, really, really is going to hurt him as a first-year quarterback here.
And it's for this reason right here. Like, there has to be a threat on game day, right? There has to be a threat on game day. Where offensively are your threats as it pertains to this offense being competent, right?
Pollard and Ridley.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and
if
that's
you can keep Tajay on the
Ridley
field,
gets off to a good start. I mean, that's not guaranteed either.
and there's that side of it too. So when we're speaking about like this draft class, like, yeah, well, it might have to be a reach in the second round. It might have to be a reach to go get your guy, right?
But then you talk about there's a deficiency at pass rush right now. I mean, this is the thing that you're dealt some really crappy cards, like I mentioned, because you're right, Ramon. I'd like to go get a receiver too in the second round, but then I'm like, my goodness, they don't have anything right at the pass rush position either.
I know. I see Rashid in our chat. It's like you draft him and bench him. Like, we've had that conversation.
Brandon Allen?
No, who's your day one starter? Rashid
Levis or someone else you could bring in at that point.
Exactly. Will, who they gonna push out there?
Jameis Winston's still sitting there.
Man, yeah, that's true too. Jameis.
But then you're spending a lot of money on quarterback. Like, it's just, this is why a lot of us have been in the trade back camp since the day the season ended.
And it's not to say that this franchise doesn't need Cam Ward. It's not to say that at all. It's because we've played a scenario in our mind about wide receivers, and it's made us look at a lot of different scenarios where you need more important pieces too. And
again, they made some moves that made them say, hey, we don't want these old guys in here anymore. We don't want these Rand picks in here anymore. And you've got, Harold Landry who got shipped off, and that had you even weaker at that spot. So they've made these decisions too, guys.
I got the answer.
615-737-1045. What?
Oh, I said I got the answer. But Will Levis back out there.
Oh, God.
Sorry, but Justin and I were having a conversation while you were finishing that point.
The least attended games in the history of the franchise.
Hey, but everybody keeps saying,
we'll always tell hope.
But Miss Amy, y'all keep saying that. Like,
we'll always have some hope.
There's that side of this conversation, too. Got to put a good product out there.
Drafting.
Stream it live at 1045 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Deion Sanders has an idea that I love that we will talk about next.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Hey, it's Will Bowling. Is your home's air conditioning ready to keep up with the warmer months ahead? We've had a taste of the warmer weather here in Middle Tennessee. We will certainly get lots more coming up very, very soon. Hey, our friends at Lead Company have you covered. One of their expert technicians will perform a 22-point inspection as well as seasonal cleaning and maintenance to help you stay ahead of Mother Nature. And right now, you can enjoy $30 off your next air conditioning visit. Don't let your AC fail this spring and summer. Head to leadcompany.com to schedule your appointment today and get $30 off. Because, look, spring does not last long here in Middle Tennessee. It will be summer weather before we know it. You got to make sure that AC unit is ready to go. So enjoy $30 off your next air conditioning visit today from my friends at Lee Company. Give them a call at 615-567-1000 or visit them online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. RKW is brewed by Scooter's Coffee with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. And Deion Sanders is cooking. A great idea from the head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes. Their social media traction now, guys, behind a spring game against another team. Ooh. You guys know I have been on this train for years. And Deion Sanders, if you listen to this audio from this week, is on this train as well.
Spring game will be televised. ESPN2 will broadcast spring game on the 19th. We got to sell this thing out and pack this thing because the way the trend is going, you never know if this is going to be the last spring game. I don't believe in that. I don't really want to condone that. I would like to play the spring. Actually, I like to play against another team in the spring. That's what I'm trying to do right now, to have it competitive. Playing against your own guys kind of get monotonous, and you really can't tell the level of your guys because, you know, it's the same old. Everybody kind of know each other towards the end. I would like to style it like the pros. I would like to practice against someone for a few days, then you have the spring game. And I think the public will be satisfied with that tremendously. I think it's a tremendous idea. Yeah, I've told those personnel who should understand that it's a tremendous idea.
That's Deion Sanders. Talking about an idea I have loved for years. It's not going to happen until the spring portal window is eliminated because you're going to have guys recruiting players that you just played who mossed your number one DB. But eliminate the spring portal window, play FCS opponents or lower level opponents in the spring, make money, sell TV rights, and yeah, it'll be great.
Will trying to sign ETSU up for a beatdown in the spring, too?
I am. I absolutely am.
Well, one, I'll say
That's an easy drive.
Yeah. Man, listen, hear me out. Like, I love what Deion is as a coach, man, because here's the thing real quick. Every other coach is running away from doing, like, publicized spring games. He's running to it. There's a difference, though, too. Like, Deion has an infectious personality about it where he may be able to get away with that. Deion may do more recruiting in the spring than other coaches will if they do these types of games, man. Like, I do think, like, people, the parents that love, like, Deion Sanders, they're not going to let their kids just leave like that unless he does something egregious or they just aren't a fit at those universities. But it is interesting that he's in a position where he was like, no, let's do a televised game. Like, and here's the other side of that, too. Colorado's in a space where they need a lot of promotion. They need eyes on them also. It's strategic marketing by him and his camp of wanting to do these types of games, but a lot of other teams, Ohio State, Texas, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, like Kentucky, you're exposed at that point if you do it the way they're trying to do it at this point. And then the other side of it, too, Will, to your point about the FCS schools, like that's a breeding ground for snatching guys in the portal. Now, I know you gave the idea of, like, close down the window of recruiting or the portal again or whatever, but that's just a breeding ground for, hey, if we don't get you now, we'll get you in December.
Yeah, I think it would be fun, absolutely. And Fran Brown thought that too, head coach of Syracuse. He added Deion Sanders and said, we will come to Boulder and for 3 days. He has that personality too as a head coach where I think he's innovative and he sees the future in terms of college football and where it's going. And this does look like something where you could make a lot of money as a team or as a school in doing these spring games. It'd have to be very organized, like you mentioned, because you'd have to make sure all of that stuff was in line so you couldn't recruit these guys if they were coming in from smaller schools. But I do think there's a way that they could work this out and make money at the same time. You could even somehow factor in some NIL stuff for these kids in these spring games.
I was going to say, there's got to be something for the kids there.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, that last week of spring practice, man, you like get this over. It was, look at Will's just like, yeah, let's keep entertaining, baby. I hated that last week. I hated the spring game, too, although I loved it because it was your last chance to display what you were going to be before in front of the fans.
You as
with
like this, doing something against a team that
my mindset is just totally different right now.
Right,
so I
and
can't
that's
answer
okay.
that in totality. I would have said, yes, coach, give me 30 reps and we're in. And most times, that's probably what your starters are going to get anyhow. Are the quarterbacks live is the question. Do I have to wear knee braces?
Quarterbacks would not be live. There's no way.
But still, somebody's going to nudge them and then a fight going to happen.
And that is the only part of it that you've talked to me about before is like the amount of times you'll look at a dude in a spring game and be like, all right, easy. All right, chill. Right?
Happens, yes. Yes, will.
But I don't think that eliminating that is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like more competition levels and more opportunities for younger guys to prove themselves against different competition, to me, is a good thing. Once you take away the spring portal window part of it, this is happening in almost every other sport in college athletics now. Tennessee just played Vandy in volleyball over at Browan High School a couple of weeks ago. Vandy's brand new volleyball program. Baseball will play conference games in the fall. Like Tennessee will play Alabama, like in a 2-game series in October that is happening way outside their season. Basketball is doing this with closed-door scrimmages. Tennessee plays Davidson every year, men's basketball, in a closed-door private scrimmage. And then this year they hosted Indiana. They lost to Indiana at home. Think that hurt Rick Barnes' feelings? Not a dang bit. You think he didn't enjoy the opportunity to coach his team in a different way after his team got beat on its home floor by somebody else in a different jersey that didn't know all of their sets? Absolutely they did. Soccer's been doing this for years. Like, if those coaches can deal with it in the portal and not have their kids get poached, football coaches can get over it too. Football coaches just are the most paranoid human beings that are living amongst us.
Yeah, they lock down everything.
But they need to get over it.
We did it in high school.
Give the people what they want.
We did it in high school. I remember scrimmaging Crockett County, Milan. We scrimmaged also.
Good program.
It is a good program, and Hardin County too. So we did do this in high school, but the landscape of what college football is totally different now too. And that to me is the other part of it, is like, how soon do you do it? How early do you do it? And who are you doing it against?
Right, you do it now.
You can do it now in the
Mid-April.
spring. Fascinating.
Like, I would rather see Tennessee play Louisiana Monroe in April than in September.
So now you can somewhat convince me. When it comes down to, like, the young early enrollees getting real live reps at it, the freshmen that are going into camp, like, that makes sense for you too. Now, here's the other part of it that they used to have, like, in 50s and 60s. They had freshman team.
Yep.
Like, that was a part of it. And those teams scrimmage other colleges, like, every year, too. And they had their own schedules. Like, that development side of things is what you don't get in today's game, because the game is so much more advanced than what it used to be.
And this is the thing, too. If they're trying to go to this pro model, at some point, I think, are going to have to open things up just a little bit. And here's a thing, too, where fans can come in, maybe if this type of thing happens, even for a practice, they open practice, the joint practices leading up to a spring game. Just one of those things to think about if they're going to continue to change the model of college football.
When you also go to a 9th conference game, program's going to need this to make money.
Yeah.
Because you are taking away their opportunity to fundraise or raise funds for their programs if they can play one less bye game. Programs like MTSU are going to be calling saying, all right, like, how do we make the money back that we're now losing because these power conference teams are having to play an extra conference game. 615-737-1045, the number. We've got a new mock draft. Mel Kiper, early this morning, has made a pick for the Tennessee Titans. Plus, what are the Titans' plans at edge rusher now that another potential target has landed elsewhere? We'll talk about all that coming up next. 7:01 from the 104.5 The Zone studios. Good morning. I'm Will Bowling. The NCAA tournament officially begins today. The first four in Dayton, Ohio sees North Carolina take on San Diego State in the matchup of 11 seeds. North Carolina closed the season strong with just 2 losses to Duke, including one of the ACC semis in their final 10 games. They take on San Diego State, a team that since 2010 has the 6th best record in the nation at 411 and 136. In this season's Mountain West tournament, the Aztecs lost in the quarterfinals to Boise State. The winner of that game will face number 6 Ole Miss on Thursday in the round of 64. 16 seeds battling tonight. That's St. Francis and Alabama State. The winner will take on Auburn. In the NFL, free agent pass rusher Azeez Ojulari has agreed to a 1-year contract with the Philadelphia Eagles. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler says that deal is worth $4 million. And the Minnesota Vikings have released longtime center Garrett Bradbury. The 29-year-old was selected 18th in 2019 and has manned the position for the last 6 seasons. He has started all 88 games he's appeared in for the Vikings, including all 17 last season. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Brewed up by Scooter's Coffee for the 7 a.m. hour on your Tuesday morning. This is 104.5 The Zone and streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Austin Price of VolQuest at 8:20. David Cobb of CBS Sports talking hoops at 9:20. And your thoughts at 615-737-1045. Another edge rusher is off the board, Azeez Ojulari. Number 49 on Pro Football Talk's list of the top 100 free agents this offseason, takes a 1-year deal worth $4 million to go to the Philadelphia Eagles. It goes pretty well for Philly when they sign former Giants, so I would expect his brother Azeez to have a career season this year for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, right? $4 million for a year?
6 sacks last year, 7 TFLs, 10 quarterback hits. In just 11 games. What the heck are the Titans going to do at edge rush?
And this is why I'm questioning what the heck's going on. Exactly what you said. A lot of people looking at this as possibly being a guy that they could sign, veteran, maybe a shorter deal, but you look at this deal now and it's just like, oh God, that would have been awesome. I mean, They can afford it. It's a 1-year deal. They've been doing 1-year signings, but it all just goes to show, even if they're in the market for a guy like him, he's probably going to go somewhere else right now. Who's going to give you the best opportunity to win? That is by far the Philadelphia Eagles and what they have in place at this current time. And you look again at the depth chart at this edge spot, like we spoke about wide receivers, guys. The only guy you can talk about really is Arden Key. And again, with my point about Calvin Ridley, Arden Key has been good at times, but Arden Key has been also very inconsistent during his time as a Tennessee Titan. That does not bode well when you're looking at the rest of the roster and you see some of these young guys like a Jalen Harrell, which, yeah, eventually maybe he could be the guy because they see something in him. But other than that, guys, there's just not much here to work with.
Yeah, Arden's a rush specialist. Should be coming in on 2nd and long, 3rd and long situations right there. If the Titans are counting on him to be a 1st to 3rd down starter, that's a different conversation right there. It's going to be super unique watching him play more like that. And then what would his production look like if he's not just a 2nd and 3rd down rusher? You mentioned Jalen Harrell. Again, you throw him out there as a 7th-round pick.
7th round pick.
7th-round pick. The talent is there, but how ready is he to assume 60% of the defensive snaps and stuff like that? Because the times that he had to go in and sub for Arden or Harold in those situations, offense is 8. That's just how it was. In those times, offenses took advantage of those guys in that situation right there. So it's a rough space to be in. Which one is he? Aziz Ojulari. Here's the other part of him too. As much as we can complain and just really criticize the Titans front office, why didn't you go get him? It's a free market. And then it's also what the Titans are selling. And then what they're selling, do you have to overpay for that for a guy like him? Like, that's what you run into in those situations. You still say to yourself, like, not what's the plan? We'll never get their answers to the plan. But, like, how are you going to start closing on some of these guys if you're not also overpaying? Or are you just mediocrity until you get to a point of competing by building through the draft? It's
tough.
And what are you willing to overpay on? Because clearly they were willing to take a gamble on left tackle and overpay that. But true. They were not willing to overpay a guy like Chase Young, who got overpaid to go back to New Orleans in 3 years, like $51 million.
Mm-hmm. And see, that part right there, though, too, is the Saints may be in a different position because Cam Jordan is still there, who's older. And I look at Chase Young's situation as being his replacement at some point in time. Like, there were questions about Cam Jordan coming back this year. I think he just recently announced that. So the Saints were somewhat forced to sign Chase Young in that situation, considering, his production hadn't been through the roof.
Right.
But they got a guy that they know, they trust, they love. He's been there, and his price wasn't enormous as it pertains to his contract.
So when you look at the guys who are still available, top of the list, according to Pro Football Focus, is Matt Judon.
Yep. That's
the kind of player you are available to still sign. Going to be 33 this year. He had 5.5 sacks last year.
Yeah, and he played in all 17 games, right? I mean, it's not what you want, but when you don't have anything, all I'm looking at right now is let's get some bodies in the room because you can't fill it all in the draft either. Yeah. Because we just talked about the wide receiver spot. I'd be with an okay deal if it's not a huge, if it's a 1 year kind of deal, like, $3-4 million. That's a bonus though. Yeah. Seeing something like that. But why not just add a body to this room right now who's a vet? 5.5 sacks, not a lot at all, but at least he was healthy.
If you're talking about the $3 to $4 million range, you could do those deals in June.
Yeah, which they probably will.
They probably will.
And it'll probably also be older player too.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Somebody
sure.
like Matt Judon, honestly. You're talking about him. You're talking about Dennis Gardeck, Arizona Cardinals. I'll be honest. I was today years old when I learned who Dennis Gardeck was. I don't watch a lot of Arizona Cardinals football. Spent his entire season there. 3 sacks last season. Played 7 games. Honestly, I think the guy that, if he was healthy, would have been a slam dunk was Charles Omenihu. He tore his ACL in the AFC Championship game.
Right.
Sure did.
And he had 1 sack last year.
Yep.
Omenihu anyway. So
and then you're going to hear the names like Von Miller, but I think that's just like you got to get past that.
That's not logical here.
Like it doesn't. Yeah, that's not going to work.
Von Miller's going to a Super Bowl contender.
Exactly.
That's a camp signing right there. He'll end up in Kansas City or Philly or 100%. Somewhere like that. Yeah.
Insert one of the 6 contending teams at the top here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. It's a rough spot to be in, I think, and we discussed all this. Our YouTube chat, if you hadn't tuned in, there has been fire hot this month. I think they're still stuck on quarterback conversation.
They're still going at it.
But with that being said, I've seen a fan or two say, a listener or two say, like, it's frustrating dealing with the Titans fans. And I'm just like, well, no, it's not. These are the scenarios that you have to play out in your mind as it pertains to what you want your team to look like. Like, we've had callers, whether that be Bam or Selly or P, call in and be like, they don't want to walk into the stadium and have a product that you can't be proud of. And that's where you at right now. Even like what last year was with the offseason signings and the belief in Will Levis. Like, before it actually fell apart, we can't lie and say that the optimism wasn't like at least an 8 for most people. Like, a lot of folks downturned it and, turned their nose up at it. It was like, no, this team still isn't good. Right tackle. And those people ended up being right. But as far as the fans' perspective of what you're selling, the product that you want to put out there, it was high. This year, not so much. We're not even close to that conversation no more.
Yeah. Mel Kiper has the Titans taking Cam Ward with his new mock draft that just dropped about 20 minutes ago at ESPN.com. And in his explanation writes, we are still not 100% sure what the Titans will do. They could try to trade this pick to a QB-needy team such as the Giants. Tennessee could opt for one of the top 2 prospects in Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. Both players would fill holes on the roster, but it sure seems the stars are starting to align for Tennessee to draft its next franchise quarterback. Mentions Will Levis still under contract, but he ranked last in NFL and QBR last season at 27.8. The Titans' only QB-related move was replacing Mason Rudolph with Brandon Allen. Adding Ward's ability to improvise under center, throw lasers to his receiver, and pick up the occasional first down with his legs would be welcome in Nashville. Led the FBS with 39 touchdown passes in 2024.
Yeah, he used to, I think, have Abdul Carter as his top choice to go to the Titans. It seems like the fanfare, the media, kind of talking about this being the pick now or whatever it might be, even though they're not hearing exactly if this is going to be the situation, either the Titans are going to get an Academy Award for selling this, that they're taking Cam Ward, or what I think a lot of us believe is they are going to do it just because of what the roster is telling them right now. What else would you do at this point, unless you're going Will Levis?
Yeah, what's fascinating is the first time I feel like I've seen an analyst like Mel Kiper Jr. say this or put it out there as confident as he has. This is a later mock draft that he's put out. He's got Shedeur Sanders going number 3.
To the Giants, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a really big question for the Giants, because if they like Shedeur Sanders enough to pick him at 3, and if they believe Shedeur Sanders will be available for them to pick at 3, they are much less inclined to trade up with you at 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they are the team that appears most likely to trade up with you at 1.
It seems to be the case. And what's interesting to me, too, is he goes on in this and said, like, there's no pressure to start Sanders right away or be the guy in week 1. He's still speaking about them going to get Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson and stuff like that. So it's an approach to where it's, to me, 2 teams that need quarterbacks, the Giants and the Titans, right? And you say to yourself, one can play right now in Cam, but is it smart to play?
Right.
Exactly. Or are you in a position as the Titans to say, all right, move back, draft Shedeur. I think Cam goes at 2 if Cleveland is still right there. And do you still sit Shedeur if you take him at number 3 and build up more capital? That's why even Kiper, to start off, we're still not 100% sure what the Titans will do. Nobody knows at this point. No trades have been proposed. No conversations come out of that building over there.
But moves they've made kind of show that.
Shows the quarterback. Yeah. But even an insider like Kiper, for what it's worth, he's not on the ground. He's not in Nashville. But I guarantee there's somebody he's speaking to that's saying, well, the Titans like him, but. Like that to me, that first sentence of his breakdown, we're still not 100% sure what the Titans will do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the ESPN mock draft. By the way, Jackson Dart goes 9 to the Saints.
Did he?
In this exercise as well, which would be very interesting.
It is.
There is another mock draft out there that still has the Giants making a trade with the Titans for the number 1 pick. Considering what the Titans have done in not addressing the quarterback position with a veteran starter, are you still willing to entertain trade offers for the number 1 overall pick? We'll talk about that next.
You want to feel good about yourself in 2025. We are getting into the springtime here soon, and you just want to look in the mirror when you get up and say, hey, I want fuller and thicker hair. I've got the solution for you at We Grow Hair right here in Nashville. Hey, it's Kayla. I went to We Grow Hair 9 months ago, I would say. Last year, I started my journey, was seeing some hair loss in the front of my temples, and that has grown back because I have had a plan with Regrow Hair, and you can too. 615-376-6010. We Grow Hair, like I mentioned, right here in Nashville for almost 30 years. They've got proven solutions that work. I've been doing those 45-minute laser and PRP treatments. That's for men and women. You see the results in up to 2 to 3 months. But if you are looking for more hair in one procedure, they also have their ARTIS robotic FUE procedure, and multi-unit hair grafting hair transplants is going to give you 2 times more hair in just one procedure. So get on with them for a consultation today, 615-376-6010. Or you can go online to wegrowhair.com RKW.com.
RKW is brewed by Scooters Coffee. Download the Scooters Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. The trade discussion has certainly calmed down here in Nashville. Full crew here, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. But are you still willing to pick up the phone? If you were Mike Borgonzi, guys, would you answer if the Giants called you?
Would I answer?
Gotta answer.
Yes. Gotta answer on that one, man. And I asked them how they doing, how the bagels up there, Will. I got a lot of questions for them, man, specifically before we get to business, because I want to soften the blow a little bit.
Bagels are very good. The water's different.
Water's different.
That's what makes it so good.
Yeah, the Jersey water, too, right? That'd be my first question.
O-Bagel in New Jersey. Free shout-out. Very good if you ever go to New Jersey.
Man, seriously, I'm asking how the kids
If you're in
are
Nashville,
doing.
Scooters Coffee Cinnamon Rolls is all you need.
Facts. Now, that
all you need. Because we're not in New Jersey,
that's
so
what I'm saying.
you can't have that
We're
right
in
now.
Jersey. But I'm asking how the kids are doing, man. Did you have a good combine? Well, I'm trying
Are you
to.
willing to overpay for the first overall pick?
Exactly. Now we get into business, man. Yes, Will, I am picking up the phone call for the Giants.
I would pick up the phone. It would be a very short conversation. Pro Football Focus has a new mock draft, and they still have the Giants trading up to number 1, taking the number 1 pick from the Titans, drafting Cam Ward, and in this, the Titans would receive the following. Pick 3, pick 65 in 2025, the Giants' first-round pick next year, and a 2026 third-round pick.
Yeah.
Yes or no? You take it in or not when the Giants call you with that?
I would say if I am the Titans, looking from the Titans' perspective, and what they need in this roster, if you're getting a first round this year and next year, I think that's what it's going to have to take. So
you would take it?
I would say, again, I'm not thinking of this in a personal matter right now. I mean, you all know I like Cam Ward.
Well, you've been on the
I'm-
draft Cam Ward no matter what train for a while.
Right. But I'm saying if I'm the Titans organization in terms of what they think they need, I think they need the quarterback. But what they think they need, I think they still are they're still open for trade, it sounds like. They probably would do something.
So in this situation, you are Mike Borgonzi, yes or no?
No, I'm not going to.
Okay.
I'm going to still take Cam Ward. I was just thinking in the way the Titans were thinking. But if I'm Mike Borgonzi, I'm riding with the quarterback.
Okay. Gotcha. Ramon, what would you do?
Sold. That pick is gone, man. You give me a 1 this year, I get the number 3 overall pick. So I got an opportunity to get Abdul or Travis or anybody else at that point that's still a top tier talent. And then I get my 3rd back. And then I got 2 1s next year.
Mm-hmm.
We cooking with gasoline.
Wait, 2 1s next year?
That's what I said.
Your
Yeah.
own?
Number 3,
I thought it was
number
a
65, 2026 first-round pick, and 2026 third-round pick.
Boy, I get 2
And you get the
ones
Giants one also.
who might not be good
Yeah.
still. Yeah, give me that. At least I think the Giants, I don't think they're going to pull a 180. I think we're still picking in the top 15 next year. I'm sold. I'm sorry. Like, I'd love to have them. I'd love to have either one of those quarterbacks. But if you lose out on Cam, basically, at this point, you get an opportunity to get Travis, I think still. Because you look at this situation, like, with Myles Garrett's still there, like maybe Cleveland's in a position where they're starting to think like Philadelphia. They're probably going after Abdul, and they got Myles Garrett at that point. Right? So they got a hell of a rush as it pertains to their defense. And at that point, you take Travis. Now, you got your answer as far as a weapon.
Who's playing quarterback this year? That's the biggest question, though. Like, that is what it all comes down to, folks. Like, you guys can dream about the future as much as you want in terms of if you want to do deals like this. But the big question becomes, this year is then a throwaway year in a lot of people's minds. And maybe they still believe in the one quarterback I believe is still on the roster who they think could be the quarterback, and that's Will Levis. And guess what, folks? If you want to accept that, that's fine for the future. who else is going to be
Joe
the quarterback?
Flacco, Jameis Winston. I mean, there are other guys you could go get if you went down that road. I'm not saying you do it. I'm just saying you could.
I think it points in the direction, though, that they're giving Will Levis another chance. That is what I personally think.
Is it fair that he gets one, though? In your opinion, is it fair that he gets one?
Not really, Ramon.
Okay.
Just
All right,
for the
sure.
fact that I think he had the opportunities last year to come back. He was benched in a way with the not benched, but he had the injury. He got to sit behind and watch.
Yeah.
He had given himself so many opportunities to get back out there, especially at the end of the year, where there were a couple games where we saw the progress mode, and then what did we see? We saw him go right back into Will Levis mode. And that, to me, does not signify any growth to make you feel good about him being the quarterback next year when, again, Callahan's job is still teetering.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, our chat, this I love just going back and forth this one. And somebody just said, so you can't have throwaway years. Lies is what I would tell you.
Yeah.
Lies. Do you not think the Patriots wanted to lose that game until our guy Joe Milton went in and cooked?
Yeah, right.
Do you not think that was what he wanted to do? Who was it a few years ago that won a game?
Houston, Texas. Lovie Smith.
Lovie
a
did
final
it.
bird on the way out.
Lovie did
Cost him Bryce Young.
So who are
ended up working out pretty well for him.
The generational quarterbacks we've had as of late, not even generational quarterbacks, just teams that needed quarterbacks that needed to be very high in the draft have been. I'll throw the Titans in there. Think about the last game of the season. The guys that went on IR. Mm-hmm. The guys that had to, they just didn't play. Jeff didn't play, if I'm not mistaken, much in the last game, right? Like, the scenarios are there. We don't want to face their reality. Yeah. But there has been suck for luck. We've seen Jacksonville want to go get
Tank for Tua.
Tank for Tua was another one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Joe Burrow going to Cincinnati. I mean, these operations have happened. Like, we trust our NFL teams like we think they're not like CIA based like the government is. Like, these teams are in position too. Like, you're not throwing away years. But when you start throwing a bunch of guys out there that's been on your practice squad and you make your starters inactive or they only play 20% of the snaps, like, they plan for this type of stuff too. I guarantee you, Gerard winning that last game wasn't a good thing for Kraft.
So at this point, like, I'm still not taking this trade. I know that's going to surprise you guys and probably a lot of people. But considering what they've done at quarterback this offseason, I have no interest in watching Will Levis start another game for the Tennessee Titans. I have no interest in running it back with him. He lost his opportunity. He was so bad that he made players around him that were at least mediocre or passable with Mason Rudolph terrible. I mean, he made that offensive line totally awful last season because he held on to the ball too long. And even though you fix the line this year, it's just going to happen again. It really is. I still think he could get better. I don't think it's going to happen here. What I would take is 2 1s and 2 2s. I would not take 2 1s and 2 3s. Because at this point, considering what I've done, if I'm Mike Borgonzi and how desperate I am for a quarterback, because all I've done is gone and signed Brandon Allen, you're going to have to really overpay me now because I am really sticking my neck out there and essentially punting on this year, which I agree with. Now, I'm still going to get Jameis Winston or I'm going to get Joe Flacco if I did make this trade or any other trade. But at this point, considering how desperate I am because I didn't want Sam Darnold and I didn't want Justin Fields, you're going to have to pay me more than just 2 1s and 2 3s to go up to number 1.
And here's the other thing. You're mentioning these other quarterbacks. There are still a lot of dominoes that have to fall into place for these other teams not to go get those quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Those other quarterbacks, in my eyes, will probably go somewhere else.
This year.
Yeah, okay, these veteran free agents that are still out there.
Veteran free agents, gotcha.
They're still going to have opportunities to go in other places once Aaron Rodgers decides where he's going to go. Because then Russell Wilson will be the next domino. But there's still teams that need a backup. Vikings still need a backup. Whether Aaron Rodgers goes there or not, they still need a backup or a potential starter. I mean, I don't think they're sold 100% on JJ being the guy right out of the gates. So
that sucks for them.
It does suck for them. And there's a lot of dominoes, like I said. So you're not even guaranteed, if you do a trade like that, you're not even guaranteed Jameis Winston at that point to come in. And so you are definitely relying on Will Levis. The other thing I'll say about this is, in reality, I think we do know the Giants, if they look at this now as, well, it was even kind of between Cam Ward and Shedeur, and now we can kind of get Shedeur maybe at 3. Should we just roll the dice and not give up all that, and we could possibly get Shedeur at 3?
It all depends on their evaluation of him, no doubt. It is interesting. So what would it take then, Caleb, for you to make a trade? Is there any offer that you would accept, or is it just Cam Ward no matter what?
Honestly, the only thing is, because I think I'd have to accept this year as a throwaway year, and that's hard to accept if I'm an owner. If I'm putting myself in the owner's shoes, push aside Bergonzi. If I'm Amy Adams Strunk and I'm looking at what I'm putting out on the field, because I got to still sell tickets this year, I have to still somewhat make fans happy. I think I look at that as, it is hard for me, Will, to say anything would work right now because I don't have a quarterback I believe in. And at least Cam Ward gives you hope right now for this next season. I'd say, Will, it would have to be like a first round this year, a first round next year, another first round, add a second.
3 ones.
Yeah. I'm dead serious.
3 ones to move up 2 spots, too, is just not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
To the phone, 615-737-1045. Dawson is in Nashville. What's up, Dawson?
What's up, Dawson?
What's going on, man?
Hey,
I just had a quick question for y'all, and I ain't going to be long. Y'all keep on talking about Cam Ward and bringing him in and how that's what the team needs. But if I do remember right, whenever we hired Brian Callahan, we hired him because he is a quarterback coach. So why not ride out Will Levis one more year and see what Brian Callahan can do and see if he can do what you brought him in for? Appreciate it, guys. Y'all be good.
Thank you, Dawson. To me, it is because of how much worse he makes everyone around him, Will Levis. That's the thing. You're not just worse at quarterback. You are worse at tackle. You're worse at guard. You're worse at wide receiver. Like, Will Levis did not show me anything that tells me he will be successful here ever.
Yeah, that was rough.
bad.
It was rough seeing him.
Yeah.
To his point though about the coaches, that's something I feel like we've said consistently on this show. You do have to charge the coaches to do their jobs, right? 2 years in the same system for Will Levis. I don't know what that looks like. I'll be completely honest. Last year I thought was way too much for him. I've said that time and time again, like too much too soon. They believed in him too much. If you do put, to your point, caller, about putting parameters around Will Levis, putting him in the baby pen, like seriously. Does he become a better quarterback? Is it on Callahan to make him better? Because, again, good coaches are supposed to coach the best parts out of the players.
And he didn't do it this last year. And you had a whole season to say, and what do they keep saying? Well, we're going to give Will Lance.
Will
boy.
Lance.
We're going to give Will Levis a chance to be the guy. And they did stick with their word. I'll give them that, because even when he got healthy and, came back, he was still the guy for the most part. There was stuff at the end where Mason came in a little bit, but it didn't work in terms of getting the development out. If you don't see it in 1 year, if you don't see progress in 1 year, how do you think it's magically going to happen the next year?
Josh Allen, though.
Yeah. But Josh Allen is a different type of
I'm just playing devil's advocate is all. Like, Josh Allen got better. We expect Caleb Williams to take a bigger jump.
But they weren't
Bryce Young was that bad. I'm just playing devil's advocate on.
Sure.
Bryce Young was that bad.
And
got benched too.
Will Levis he's in a camp right now. I think he was over in California doing some work.
Recently?
With James Palmer, maybe it was, doing some quarterback stuff.
Correct.
I'm not saying he can't be better in the future, but I don't know if he can be better here. Next year.
Yeah, and we got a question. Sally on YouTube asks, why can he not be good here? And does that mean we can't develop quarterbacks, so will Ward be good here? I think it's a very fair question. To me, the change of scenery is often a critical step in the maturation process. Sam Darnold had to go somewhere else to become competent. Baker Mayfield had to go somewhere else and change his mindset, change his scenery around him to become better, get a second opinion. Geno Smith had to go somewhere else and get a second opinion. Like, it is why we go elsewhere in a lot of things in our lives, to get second opinions to then become more intelligent. I get that's not a one-to-one comparison, but to me, it often is resetting your brain and resetting your surroundings and going somewhere to be a backup that requires then growth. Because I don't think Will Levis is going to get that here, considering he was the guy and we went on a public PR campaign to make him the guy, and it went so poorly. It's broken here. It's done. Like Malik Willis would not have, in my opinion, made the improvements he did in Green Bay here last year. He had to go to a new scheme. He had to go to a new offensive line. And when I say I think Will Levis can be fine, I think he can be a backup quarterback in this league. That's the thing. That's what I mean when I say I think Will Levis can be fine. I think he can be a decent backup. I don't think Will Levis is ever going to be a good starting quarterback in the NFL ever.
So the scenario of this team as it's built right now, right? If Will Levis can't make it better, none of the positions we named better from what we've seen. Is the expectation, though, sight unseen as a pro, that Cam Ward will make it better? That's the question that I feel like is happening in those scouting rooms. And to be quite honest with you, I don't know that answer. And I say it for this reason. How confident are you in the 10 that Cam Ward has to play behind that's going to get better with him? Like, he has the arm like Will Levis, just probably as athletic as Will Levis is too, and has the drive, grit, attitude, competitive nature as Levis. Is he that much better of a prospect than where Will Levis was?
And that's what everybody is waiting to see. I mean, that's the quarterback game of Russian roulette. I mean, you have to be at this point, I feel like, because you have the number 1 overall pick. You don't have a quarterback that you believe in right now, so it seems, at least. And you have to start putting the pieces together. And part of the puzzle is the biggest part, which is a quarterback. And if they truly believe that this can be the piece, and they're going to have to gamble like that. You always kind of have to gamble, right? Even if it's Caleb Williams and you hear he's a generational talent, you're still taking a gamble. It's still not proven yet. So that is part of the scary game of the NFL in terms of quarterbacks, more so than anything, is can that be the guy? And it is always sometimes a flip of the coin.
In this PFF mock draft, by the way, they have the Titans trading back to 3 and taking Jackson Dart.
I saw that.
Oh,
That's
gosh.
I'm be real with you.
Oh, Mamma Mia.
Which I am not signing up for. 0% chance.
What would you grade it real quick before we go to the callers if they did do
An
that?
F minus.
Okay.
An F minus. I have no interest.
That's what I was thinking.
In taking Jackson Dart with a first-round pick in the year of our Lord 2025. No way.
Even with the
out of that system, so many of the throws he makes are to wide open receivers. There is a learning curve for Jackson Dart. I know Mel Kiper has him going 9th to the Saints. That actually is the only scenario I could get behind with using a first-round pick on him, is making him do the Mahomes sit for a year or two and then become the guy. Yeah. There is no way you're trotting Jackson Dart out there in 2025. No way. So I also don't think you're going to trade back and take a quarterback, because that implies that you're not 100% in on that quarterback. If you love the QB, you got to just take him 1. You don't take the risk that QB is going to be snatched up if you really love him. So that's why I don't like trading back to 3 and then taking Shador. Like, no, if you want Shador, just take him 1.
If you love him, take him. That's been the sentiment. It really has.
Either
been.
one, any of the quarterbacks. If you love Kyle McCord, just take him 1. But obviously that's not going to happen either. Loaded phone lines. Your reaction next. 615-737-1045. Are you taking this trade? 365, next year's first, next year's third from the Giants for the number 1 overall pick. 615-737-1045. Your thoughts next.
It's Ramon Foster for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Good people, right now they have a special for you, man. It's the Behind the Lines offer, which is a $37 consultation, and that includes a doctor's visit, x-rays if you need them, and your first treatment on the first day you go there, all right? If you need a more in-depth treatment, well, because you're part of the Zone family, they will give you 50% off spinal decompression treatment. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley just want you to get better, which is why I had already booked with them, too. I'm telling you, they lay me down on this table, man, and I promise you hardly feel the pulling of your spine, anything like that, man. It really does make your back feel better, man. They even have the zero gravity machines, too, there if you want to get a workout in. Listen to me. The state-of-the-art spinal decompression machines are the best. I don't even know if I've seen these in NFL facilities, man. They are good. And the best thing about Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley is this. They don't want you just coming back to them. Yes, they want you to get healthy, but as soon as you're done, they're done also. Like, it's not one of those keep coming back to us type of institutes. No, absolutely not, man. Whether you have nerve pain in your leg, you want any more weakness or sleepless nights, you know how those bulging disc situations are for you. Simply go to painisbad.com or call the Wellness Institute of Nashville at 615-246-5009. It's officially truck month at Two Rivers Ford, and I want to give a shout out to the number one selling truck in America, the Ford F-Series, man. Ford F-Series trucks are literally the best trucks on the road. They have the durability, the towing capacity, and the technology that rolls right over the competition. And when it comes to Ford trucks, too, no one has more trucks than Two Rivers Ford. Right now, Two Rivers has over 200 F-150s on lot. All the trims, all the colors, all the options, man. You can get exactly what you want at Two Rivers Ford. And Two Rivers Ford always sell their F-150s below MSRP, and everything is upfront and honest with them, which is one of the best things you can have with a business, man. This isn't one of those dealers that advertise one price online or over the radio, and when you get to the lot, it's something different. No, absolutely not. Two Rivers, they pride themselves on doing business with integrity. They even have non-commissioned sales team, which means there is no pressure to buy whenever you get on the lot. So take advantage of special truck month savings and test drive the baddest truck on the road at Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
RKW brewed by Scooters Coffee on 104.5 The Zone, talking trades and talking Titans. Zach Lyons has chimed in on Twitter at the Zach Lyons. When we asked, would you take this trade from the Giants that PFF has at its new mock draft? Titans received 3, 65, 2026 first, 2026 third. Giants received number 1. Ramon's taking it. Kayla and I are not. Zach Lyons said this is only 2% overvalue. Historically, it has been on average of 20% of the value over it for the number 1 overall pick. So easy. No, I agree. Totally agree.
Okay.
Hey, I ride that boat by myself, man.
That's all right. You got 2 heavy hands to row.
Hey, listen. That 2 1s next year, that's dope to me.
2 1s, 2 2s, and I do it.
2 1s and 2 2s.
And again, I think we are allowed to also change our opinions as we get new information, because at the beginning of the offseason, I would have taken that and run with it when the Titans could have still signed Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Now that they did not sign Sam Darnold or Justin Fields, I don't see any other pathway forward at quarterback other than drafting Cam Ward that I really like. Yeah. So, my evaluation of Cam Ward has not changed. I still think he's fine. I think he could be successful. I don't think it's a slam dunk here, but I'm willing to take that risk more so than letting Will Levis be the quarterback again, winning 2 more games, getting the coach fired, and starting over again next year. So considering the other options, I'm just taking Cam Ward.
Because here's the thing. As much as they have made little moves and 1-year deals, the whole message was still, we have to be better. We have to win more games. You are probably then, in terms of if you're just going to go with Levis, you're taking a big roll of the dice there. And then behind it, guys, you're not having any type of fanfare. I mean, I know there's still Levis supporters out there, and that's fine. But it's not going to be like it is drafting a quarterback and getting some excitement after a really lackluster offseason.
To the phones, Andrew, 615-737-1045 is first up. Hey, Andrew.
Good morning. So this is going to be a Kayla-focused comments that she's made, because I agree with her. First of all, I would take the trade, but here's why. If you go back to when Callahan was hired, right, Amy, the owner, put out a statement, and Will Levis was mentioned in it. That hire was because she believed that Callahan could come in and make Will Levis better. Will Levis got worse. So if you fast forward, right, why in the world, which you should have probably fired Callahan when you fired Brian Carthon if you didn't like what happened last year, which Kayla also said that too. I remember that. Mm-hmm. But why in the world, if you're Amy Adams Strunk, would you want to hitch a quarterback to this coach who literally made Will Levis worse when you thought he was going to make him better, and that was the reason he was hired? So for me, you don't draft a quarterback that high. You may draft one late, but you don't draft one high, because what do you have to show that this coach can improve a quarterback and win as a head coach? I just think it's going to reset the board all over again. So for me, trade back, get what you can, and see what Callahan can do with Levis or a veteran, and see what happens after the season this year. That's what I got. See y'all.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew. And I get your point in terms of we're kind of putting a lot of this into Callahan's hands. But what I'll say on this is I look at this different. Maybe other people have different thoughts on this, but Will Levis was a second-round pick. I know at some points he was projected first round. The man did not play a lot of football compared to a guy like Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. And I just really do truly feel like those 2 prospects are better quarterbacks than he ever would be. And they both have the paths to prove it. They've both been at multiple places with different challenges along their career. I just don't think Will Levis had been tested enough at Kentucky or consistent enough at Kentucky, played enough good competition where he won games. These are just 2 better prospects, so it gives me hope that Callahan has something better to work with.
He played good competition. He just threw it to them. He threw it to the competition.
You should leave. So.
No, it's true. It's what happened. He threw 3 picks in Knoxville to Hendon Hooker in Tennessee. He didn't throw them to Hendon Hooker. Yeah, that would have been impressive.
It would have been impressive. Lante shimmied on him after one of his touchdowns.
Yeah, pick 6 to win that game in Lexington.
Dang.
Shout out to
one of many. Chris is in Columbia up next. Hey, Chris.
Hey, guys. I've heard this talk this morning that we believe Will Levis can be a good quarterback, just not here.
Backup quarterback, yes.
Backup.
That's a cop-out.
Okay.
That's telling me right away that you don't believe in this coaching staff. If you don't believe in this coaching staff, you can't put another quarterback under him, just like the last caller said. You can't put Will Levis behind the worst offensive line in the NFL in his rookie season and expect good results. You can't expect that. You got to give him another year behind a decent offensive line and give this guy a chance to see what he can do.
Chris, the only issue I have with that point, though, is that Mason Rudolph did not take nearly as many sacks behind the same offensive line as Levis. Doesn't Levis deserve some of the blame for that?
He does deserve blame, but that's part of being a rookie. Mason Rudolph isn't a rookie.
Neither was Will Levis. He was in his second season.
He played 4 games his rookie season.
Okay.
He's still a first-year NFL quarterback.
I don't agree with that. Thank you, Chris, for the call. We've got to keep it moving. I mean, you have 2 training camps. You have 2 sets of OTAs. You have 2 off seasons. He was not a rookie.
He also sat for a minute and took it from a different perspective. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks learn in that moment, and he didn't do that.
Respectfully, there's a point to be made from a caller right there. It is.
There is, but not that he was a rookie. He just wasn't.
Yeah, he wasn't a rookie. It was his first year starting. He didn't get he just got his complete 17, I think, towards the latter part of the season.
Yep.
He just got his 17. So, listen, Levis ain't going to appease to a lot of people at all. That's just what we are, too.
Right.
That's just what we are, too. Like, perception is reality for him in Nashville at this point. There's no coming back for Will Levis, although I do think there's an opportunity to be had for him.
But he said he said that's a cop out in terms of. Are you saying an opportunity here?
Yeah.
As what, a backup?
Here's what I said. Here, just to clarify everything that I have said. If you get Cam or Shador, Levis can't exist here. Period.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get either one of those guys, and the idea of throwing Will Levis back out there, fans ain't gonna love it. But Coach Callahan and his staff might have a better plan for Levis going into this year.
I know. Just all that stuff he said to Easton Freeze in that interview, it just didn't seem like there was that belief that he could fix him. But I get what you're saying.
But that's on the contingency that if they don't pick Cam Ward, though.
Right.
I mean, if they do pick Cam.
Yeah, and to the caller's point about not believing in Callahan, Callahan's got to earn the benefit of the doubt that he doesn't have yet.
Right,
so
it's part of it.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. I mean, Callahan is your coach. Like, if you were bringing somebody else in, maybe it's a different conversation. I still don't think it is. But, that's part of the hand you've been dealt is that Brian Callahan is your coach. So you better give him the best possible weapon to mold and the best possible tool at quarterback because I don't think he can develop Will Levis.
Real quick, if he was Mike Vrabel or Sean Payton, would you believe better in going to get Cam Ward?
Sean Payton, yes. Mike Vrabel, no.
Sean Payton.
Vrabel, no?
Different answers.
No, not Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel and quarterbacks don't get along.
Sean Payton, yes.
Depends on who Mike Vrabel's OC is.
That's on me, man. That's on me.
To answer that question.
But Sean Payton, yes.
Kellen Moore?
Sure.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Okay.
I think he's been.
So the coach is playing a part in this, too.
Who's the guy down there at Liam Cohen?
Liam Cohen?
615-737-1045 is our number as we transition to the second half of the show. National reporter Dan Graziano at ESPN.com still says it is not an overreaction that this crop of offseason quarterbacks just aren't very good. We'll listen to more analysis about this group of QBs coming up next.
We've got the trucks, all the trims, all the towing,
it's Ramon
all
Foster
the
for Genesis Diamonds, man. Listen, y'all, we are lucky to have Genesis here, man. Such a cut above other places and far and away the leader here in the city, man. The dominant player when it comes to engagement rings and fine jewelry, man. They have an amazing store. Great people who really care, and, man, an unbeatable selection. But the best part, man, is the value, the prices, the fact you get a bigger, better diamond for less. Nobody beats their diamond prices. This is why Genesis is such a disruptor in the jewelry industry. They are a category killer. Remember, Genesis Diamonds was started by former diamond wholesaler and diamond cutters. They have connections that go back for decades, and every diamond is handpicked using the highest standards. All this means unbeatable value for you. They refuse to be undersold on GIA certified diamonds. They have a price guarantee that is not just local. It covers the entire nation, man. Get the deal you deserve on your diamond. Genesis Diamonds, and don't miss their expanded selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches, all for the hard-to-find models. Check them out. Genesis Diamond. Extraordinary service, unmatched quality, unbeatable value, unrivaled selection, and no compromises. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
8:02, good morning for the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Will Bowling. The NCAA tournament starts today. The first four in Dayton features North Carolina and San Diego State in the matchup of 11 seeds. UNC in their last 10 games only lost twice to Duke, including in the ACC semifinals. Since 2010, the Aztecs own the sixth best record in the nation. They fell in the quarterfinals of the Mountain West tournament to Boise State. The winner of that game gets six-seeded Ole Miss on Thursday in the round of 64. A pair of 16 seeds will battle for the right to take on Auburn tonight. That's St. Francis taking on Alabama State. In the NFL, free agent pass rusher Azeez Ojulari has agreed to a one-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. Jeremy Fowler says the deal is worth $4 million. And the Minnesota Vikings have released longtime center Garrett Bradbury. The 29-year-old was selected 18th in 2019. He played all 17 games for Minnesota at center a season ago. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Brewed up by Scooter's Coffee for a fresh hour of RKW, Hour 3. You can check out Scooter's Coffee with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Download the Scooter's Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. The movement is spreading, guys. More of you are learning of how good Scooter's Coffee is. Bam writes in. Says good morning to us. Says, man, I had Scooters this morning. I'm not a coffee guy, but this got me in gear.
Let's go.
Thanks at 104.5 The Zone at Ramon Kayla Will for the plug. Bam, you are welcome, and you know ball for understanding that
Nice,
the
Bam.
Scooters Coffee is that good. Austin Price going to join us in 15 minutes as we shift gears to some Tennessee spring practice and basketball discussion. But guys, the story of the morning, Jeremy Fowler on the Dan Patrick Show says that it is looking like Cam Ward is the pick for the Tennessee Titans.
Could you see the Giants actually try? I don't know if Tennessee's going to actually take Cam Ward. They sound like they are, but I don't believe anything until it happens. But can you see the Giants being aggressive with either one of these quarterbacks?
Yes. And even before the Aaron Rodgers talk, when they were going for Matthew Stafford, like they spent a month on trying to get Matthew Stafford and put together big financial packages, and they were sort of left at the altar. But the sense coming out of the combine was if they strike out on Stafford, they're going to go draft. They're going to go heavy there with that third pick, maybe try to trade up. I still think that's a possibility. If you get Rodgers or even Wilson to a lesser extent like that, at least frees you up to not have to do that if you don't want to give up too much. But some of that was predicated on Tennessee wanting to move back. It does seem like now, again, a lot can happen with the draft. I won't make sweeping determinations, but from what I've gathered, they seem pretty comfortable with Cam Ward. Like there's some momentum there with other teams I've talked to league-wide that they feel like they're just going to sit there and take Ward. I know the interviews with Ward have gone well. They feel comfortable with like the mistakes he has made on the field. They feel like he's done a good job of explaining those and can be coached and correct them. And he's got the obvious upside on top of that. So if you equal all that out, you sense a little momentum for the Titans to sit put. That could complicate things for the Giants if they're comfortable with Shador at 3 or even moving up to 2. Is that too rich?
That is Jeremy Fowler on the Dan Patrick Show telling us as much as we've heard at all about how the meetings have gone and about what the Titans think.
Yeah, it's a good place to be for the Titans. I mean, they can stick and pick and get their franchise guy. I saw somebody on Twitter say, well, hey, it just sucks getting a quarterback for the next coach already, too. But, hey, it is what it is. Kayla, you said this time and time again, it's a gamble, regardless of it. Like, it's a risk.
Yeah.
At what point are you willing to risk a job on it, though? Like, they said they discussed, from what Fowler said, some of the deficiencies that Cam Ward has on tape, which is what you do in those meetings. You do more of that than you do praising.
For sure.
That's just how it goes. Hey, why did you suck on this play? Not in those words, but why did you throw this ball right here? And if he's got a concise answer, which, by the way, in this pre-draft era that these guys are in right now, right? they also sit down and break down their own film. They have quarterback coaches that will bring tape to them. Hey, you need to be able to have an answer for this. I ain't saying a lot of this is rehearsed. They do this after games anyway. Hey, corrections. You shouldn't have thrown this ball. You should have went here. This types of stuff happen. But the only, to play devil's advocate is what we got to do a little bit from time to time. If they feel like leading those meetings with Cam Ward that they can fix his deficiencies, you can't do the same with Will Levis.
It's a great question.
Maybe not.
And it may be a different prospect.
You might think his mistakes are more fixable than Will Levis's.
That's very true.
And I also look at it, too, is you might think, when you see Cam Ward and the deficiencies he's had with some of those turnovers and maybe being a little loose with the ball at times, and then you see, though, the dynamic plays he is able to make consistently, not just once in a while making that long, big throw downfield like we talked about. Will Levis has that arm and stuff like that. But the consistent play of, making his team better because there was a deficiency on their defense last year at Miami. And I think sometimes Cam Ward had to will his team to wins in terms of sometimes taking risks. And that doesn't always get you wins in the NFL. No way. But I do think you could also look at it as we see the upside to, maybe there's things that we can also fix, but the upside is better too in terms of what we had in Will Levis. Those are things, again, we are not in those rooms. I wish we were flies on the wall, but those top 30 visits, they're long. They're like a day and a half. And you bet your bottom dollar that he probably got every question under the sun. And if they felt comfortable, that's, I think, when they decided, let's roll with Cam Ward. Because I do think they had an open mind coming into this process. I don't think they knew what the heck they were doing when this whole draft process began.
Mike Bergonzi wasn't exactly scouting top of the draft quarterbacks when he had Mahomes, that's for sure.
Right, yeah.
It is fast.
Jay Duffer on Twitch asks a great question in the F&M Bank chat this morning and says, if you don't believe this head coach can develop a quarterback, then why draft another? Just for hope in order to sell tickets? If Levis goes to another team and develops, then what will be said about this franchise and owners? I think it's a good question.
That is a fair question.
What do you guys think?
It is. And I think, though, this has happened before in situations where, you go to a team that drafts in the top 4 or whatever and takes a quarterback. And a lot of the times these teams aren't set up for success right away. And they don't have the tools right away. This is when it becomes how patient is your organization. And a lot of times we've seen organizations aren't patient, those quarterbacks leave, and then they have a resurgence in their career. And right now, it is a new type of organization with parts and pieces. So there is a risk that, Cam Ward comes here and right away out of the gates, he's not like wowing you. Yeah. But they give him, a couple years with Callahan to work that out. I just think because Callahan had no say in Will Levis. That's the biggest thing with me. I mean, he knew he was coming here. He's going to take a head coaching job. And he thought, okay, maybe I can fix him. But I just don't think at all it was his pick. I would feel in this case, at least he has some say and I can work with Cam Ward.
Yeah, I guess that is the other part. This is his guy. He inherited Will Levis. But here's the thing, though, too. Sometimes as a coach, you got to work with what you have. That was a question that was brought up real quick, if y'all don't mind. It was a question brought up. Well, it was that Will and I, hey, what did he say? If it's on Callahan to make the quarterback better, then why isn't Bill Callahan at charge for not making NPF better? Here's the other part on that one, too. Personalities of people that want to be good, they do step up when situations present themselves. Case in point, Coach Munchak inherited us as an offensive line, right? He's good at his job. He also had a personality type that he was dealing with that could handle his style of coaching. I'll personally say this. I don't know how adamant NPF was on his NFL career. Sometimes guys are just good enough to get to a point, and then they just somehow cop out in the end.
NPF's also not a quarterback.
Yeah, he's not a quarterback.
Apples and oranges.
And this is a situation where if he wanted to, I think it would have been there. I personally don't know if NPF was fully into it. Mm-hmm. Just my own assessment on that one.
Going back to the original question of if you don't believe this head coach can develop a QB, why draft another? Because that QB has a higher upside than the one you have.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
We just talked about that in that last segment too. So
right, not all quarterbacks are the same. Mm-hmm. If this staff believes that they can get the most out of Cam Ward, then you draft Cam Ward. Like it's that simple. Just because you can't get the most out of Will Levis might just mean that you can't make Will Levis work in your scheme with the pieces around him, with the way his brain is wired today.
Yeah.
Will Levis, again, could be a fine backup quarterback when he's 29. But I'm not willing to let him mess up here and ruin everything and get everybody fired while he figures it out. I'm moving on, and I'm letting him figure that process out elsewhere. Ron Slay has called in.
Has he really?
To chime in this morning. What's up, Slay? How are you?
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Well, I just like to say, man, you guys are doing a great job with your sponsor. And me, I have in the cup holders of my truck right now a decaffeinated coffee.
Okay.
And a large hot chocolate.
Okay.
Woo!
Now, I'm calling this to say, for us listeners out there that never drink coffee, and I'm not going to start today, but the ones that don't know how to order coffee. Like, I just went to the window at Scooters and had no idea what to order. Just trying to get a coffee.
Yeah.
I'm old school. So I asked for, let me get a decaffeinated coffee, 2 creams, 4 sugars. That just seemed like the way to go.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's the way. It's like when you're in class and you raising your hand to ask a question, and you really don't want to ask the question because it feels dumb.
Yeah.
I need you all each day or once a week to say how you need to order or what you need to order at Scooters for us generic coffee drinkers.
Novice drinkers.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. But however y'all out here, you know what I'm saying, Savage, I'm just saying.
Okay.
I love it.
We do order of the week is what you need.
I like that.
Give me a
that's all I'm
medium
asking.
hot
That's all I'm
Scooter
asking.
Doodle coffee, black. Would be the first order I would give you, Slay, because that just tastes like a Snickerdoodle, but in coffee form, and it's very good. You would love it.
See, the lady asked me, do you want it regular or brewed or something? I'm like, come on, you ask me questions like I done my homework on coffee. I don't have a clue, man.
So
I'm
coffee
sorry, I
for
don't know.
dummies is what we need to do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, KK.
Okay.
Yes. That's all I'm saying.
All right, we'll work on that.
Like, I don't
do
know.
that.
I'm looking up there they got Fruity Pebbles
Yeah.
and Lucky Charms.
Yeah. They got options.
I don't know. That made me want cereal. I don't know what to
Oh,
do.
yum.
Hey, dog. So you are you sipping the decaf?
No. Absolutely not. I got that from my grandma. I got me a large hot chocolate, though.
There we go.
How is it? He's taking a sip
I'll
right
wait
now.
for Friday.
He'll give us a
Give us
review
4
on
of you.
Friday.
Ron Slay.
What a
Slay, we'll hear
tease.
you at 3 o'clock breaking down the brackets. Thank you, sir.
Tease.
What a tease. I love it. I'll tell you on Friday.
What's wrong with you, dog?
Enjoy your
So
morning.
great. They've got
There's Ron Slay.
They've got smoothies too.
Got everything.
If you don't want coffee, you got smoothies, you got food there.
And coming up next, we've got VolQuest's Austin Price, who joins us after this.
Hey, we all live in Nashville, and of course, we love it. And while this is a growing city, you want to work with people that you can trust, including a real estate agent. And that's why you need to check out my friend, Bernie Gallerani. Bernie Gallerani, he has years of experience. He's going to know the neighborhoods and care about your buying or selling goals. In fact, Bernie guarantees to sell your home in 30 days or less, or he's just going to buy it from you. Selling a home, we all know this, it can be stressful, especially in a slow market. But Elizabeth found out firsthand what happens when you have the right real estate expert on your side. After months of having listed her fiance's condo with no results, it sold at full price in just 5 days with Bernie Gallerani Real Estate when they took it over. So when it is time to sell her home, Elizabeth knows exactly who to call now. Bernie is the only real estate agent in Nashville recommended by Barbara Corcoran of Shark Tank and the only agent I would trust to sell my home. So give him a call on his cell phone, 615-428-2644. That's 615-428-2644, or go to BernieGallerani.com.
When the glass breaks, we talk Vols on RKW. We are brewed by Scooter's Coffee with locations in White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. With the crew all here on a Tuesday morning, we are joined by VolQuest's Austin Price talking Tennessee and March Madness, a little bit of spring practice as well. Austin, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing great, everybody. How are you doing?
We are great. And we begin, Austin, in the NCAA tournament. What do you make of Tennessee's draw and the matchups they have in the Midwest region?
I think the draw is fantastic. Obviously, you could run into a Kentucky who's 2-0 against you this year in the Sweet 16. But I think if you're Tennessee, you're taking this draw every time. A year ago, you knew Purdue was a bad matchup, having played them earlier in the year. You knew potentially a UConn would be a bad matchup, just like you knew Florida kind of was a bad matchup last Sunday. With them just being so long and deep and athletic. But there's nobody on, this potential path for Tennessee that I just look at it and think, oh, man, Tennessee can't beat them. Like, that's just, that's basically a near impossible game to win. Like, a lot of that is just like, I think if Tennessee plays its best basketball, it has a real shot to get to its first Final Four as a program. So, again, you got to go out and do it. Tennessee's never done it as a program. In all these years and all the really good teams they've had, they've never been able to get to a Final Four. Is this the year? I'm calling it. I'm saying yes. I think Tennessee is a real shot, and I think they run this table and make it to San Antonio.
Well, Austin, along the same lines, that Elite Eight matchup with Houston, I know Jay Billis said, it would need to be refereed by wrestling officials. It would be an absolute boxing match for 40 minutes. But what would you make of that matchup specifically, and just how Tennessee would go up against a team that really has a lot of the same strengths that they do?
Yeah, I do think they would be mirror images of one another. I just think Tennessee's got some grit to it and some intangibles with Zakai being who he is, that would, to me, give them the advantage. And the fact that they've played in this league all year long, to me, gives them an advantage in this game. The Big 12 is not the SEC this year. And, Houston's a really good team. Kelvin Sampson and Rick Barnes are buddies. They play a very similar style. I think it would be a great matchup. And, again, I don't think anything would surprise me with this Tennessee basketball team. But I just think they're kind of poised and set up with the path they have to make a real run here, and we'll see how it proves out. But, you couldn't be happier, I think, if you're Rick Barnes, outside of the fact you got to turn around and play a Thursday, Saturday instead of a Friday, Sunday, coming off, 3 grueling games in Nashville, than the path you have in front of you.
Austin Price, Austin Price of VolQuest and on 3 with us this morning. Also, when it comes down to the system that Rick Barnes has, cultivated as of late, man, who is he going to be able to go find another Dalton Connect or Chaz Lanier out of the portal this year? Is that his plan, you think, moving forward for his teams for years to come?
Yeah, I do think that, as long as Coach Barnes is coaching, however long that is, whether that's another 5 years, or that's, next 5 weeks, I think he'll be heavy in the portal. I think he's continued to recruit high-end players. They spend a lot of time recruiting some of these high school kids that are highly thought of. But I think the path for Tennessee is going to be heavy into the portal. They really have to be, as much as they lose, right? Obviously Milicic and Chaz Lanier are kind of one-and-done top players, but then they lose Gainey after 2 years. Zakai and Meshack are gone after the great 4-year careers. They're going to have to replace a big core of this group. Now, down in the post, they don't replace as much. They'll have, Cade Phillips back, Tara back, but they're going to have to replace a lot. And so they'll go heavily into the portal for this. They have to. But I think a lot of schools are doing that in basketball specifically. Everybody at least dabbles in football, if not goes heavy like a Florida State or an Ole Miss. But in basketball, it feels like kind of everybody goes heavy. You look at Alabama's a heavy portal team. Florida's done a nice job in the portal. Even teams like Oklahoma, kind of help transform their roster through the portal. So I think that's something you see a lot more heavily in basketball. But, I think Rick Barnes gravitates towards the fact that, okay, I don't have to recruit a kid for 2 years to get him. I can recruit him for 2 weeks pretty hard and then kind of, manufacture and build my team that way.
No doubt about it. Austin, the other side of things, man, a lot of folks, BVS pops up from time to time, even on the baseball side of things, man, with them winning the national championship recently. It seems like nobody wants to say this team is that good. Austin, they just swept Florida, a top 10 team. Marcus Phillips earned co-SEC Player of the Week, man. Honestly, how good is this team and the expectation for them also?
Well, they're remarkably good when you factor in they lost near everybody. Now, there's a few pieces back, but, I mean, like the main group that won the national championship last year, pitching staff, obviously, their core hitters, their top 2 home run hitters, and, not only last year, but in program history are gone. And they just kind of just plug and play, and these guys continue to win. I mean, they even brought a kid in Albert Osuna, and Alberto, I sat down with him last night for VolQuest Confidential, which is going to have an expedited release of it in like a couple of days from now.
Nice.
And he came in February, isn't eligible to play, and just loves it. I mean, I was like, do you regret it? And he's like, nope. I guess I feel like God had a calling for me to be here, and I don't really know what that is at this point, but I'm here, and I'm glad I'm here, and just a great attitude for a kid that's going through a really tough situation. And, they just have a culture here like it's wild. I mean, you got kids that are, pushing for Alberto's, to be eligible, and, I mean, and some of them, like, they would play less if he was eligible because he could play. I mean, their culture is just fantastic. And it's allowed guys to kind of plug and play that have come in from the outside. Obviously, Andrew Fisher, Liam Doyle, have done a fantastic job. Gavin Keelan. This baseball team is really, really stacked. It is, as Brent Hubbs calls it, an embarrassment of riches. And, it's really, really impressive, kind of what they do and how they've done it. I mean, to be 20-0, playing later tonight against ETSU, I do think this is a trap game for the Vols, though. I really do. ETSU traditionally plays Tennessee really, really tough. They hit a lot of home runs. A lot of those in-state kids that maybe feel like they could have been at Tennessee, they get motivated for this type of game. This is a trap game, I think, for Tennessee later tonight. And you're going to Alabama this weekend. The last series Tennessee lost was last year at Alabama. The last time Tennessee lost back-to-back games was last year at Alabama. That's wild. That's 365 days ago or whatever it was. It's baseball. Like, it's easy to, have your ninth pitcher on your rotation drop a Tuesday game and then drop the first game of an SEC series, or drop the last game of an SEC series and then drop a midweek game in college baseball. To not lose back-to-back games in a calendar year is a crazy stat. And, Tennessee just continues to do what they do, and that's win and win big and win impressive and win in different ways.
Austin Price, our good friend at VolQuest, joining us this morning on RKW. Let's switch over to football, and spring practice continues, Austin. How have you seen or heard in terms of some of the coaches talking about Nico Iamaleava and how the leadership is continuing to build with him during spring practice and some of his new parts?
I think he knows it has to build, Kayla, and I think that he's making a real conscious effort to be more vocal, to be more seen, to be more present. Not that he wasn't present a year ago, because he was, but I think he took a backseat to alpha males in the room like a Dylan Sampson. I mean, Dylan, everybody for years, everybody saw Drew Brees do the whole, got him around him and give him the pregame speech and all that. Dylan Sampson was that for last year's team. Every time they had to have a talk, it was Dylan Sampson doing the talking. Defensively, it was the Keenan Peeleys of the world. Nico, on the offensive side, is the guy and has to be the guy. Not only are you the quarterback, but, your receivers, unproven, inexperienced, you have to lead them. Running backs, same thing, younger guys. Offensive line, 4 of the 5 are new. The only one back his line's hurt. The tight ends, Miles Kitselman, I think, can be a leader, can be vocal, but at the end of the day, Nico, it starts with him. So he's, I think, taking that responsibility and is is growing from it. I think he's continuing to get more bold. I think he's continuing to be a better leader. And I think that, just kind of in talking to some people around the complex, his efforts have been, very much noticeable around the complex, not only by teammates, but coaches as well.
And Austin, I know you wrote about this a little. Make sure you get a subscription. VolQuest, they do a great job on here. You were talking about him and maybe starting that a connection with Mike Matthews, and they spent a little time together, this past off season. How have you maybe seen Mike Matthews and his relationship grow here?
Yeah, I mean, they went up to California. They thrown, quite a bit. Mike, once all that kind of got settled during the transfer portal season, I think he made a real effort to, hey, me and Nico need to bond. Same thing with Braylon Staley. And, they're going to get plenty of opportunities. We've talked about Tennessee's lack of depth at wide receiver. I don't think their lack of talent. I just think it's inexperienced talent. It's kind of like more, I said this today on the VolQuest podcast. This football team, in a lot of ways, is kind of like Marcus Phillips. Everybody questioned, could he be that guy in SEC play? Could he be a starter? Could he, keep the velo up into the 6th and 7th inning? And to this point, and through the first SEC series, he's proven he can. As you all pointed out earlier, he was, with the player of the week stuff. Like the football team, in a lot of ways, the wide receivers including Mike Matthews, they're unproven, inexperienced. That don't mean they're not capable. They just haven't done it yet. And so until you see them do it, you don't know. And I think for Mike, building a rapport with Nico is very much an important part of his, growing and continuing to build his game. Obviously, he's got a ton of talent, and I think he needs to continue to do that the next several months.
Austin Price of VolQuest, our guest this morning on our Bone, Caitlin Will. Austin, what are the early returns on David Sanders as he goes through his first spring practice?
Oh, I think it's been really, really impressive. Just what he's been able to do and continue to do at a high level early in spring practice. Now, long way to go. Got to continue to build, but to hit the ground running, to be someone who doesn't seem like their head's on a swivel, doesn't seem like that their head's swimming, that it's too much too early. I think it's a great sign. Obviously, you brought him in to be this type of player, and you're hoping he can earn that left or the right tackle job opposite Lance Hurd. And it starts with having a really good spring practice. And through the first 4 practices, David Sanders has been just that, really, really good. Now, again, he's got to continue to do it, but through 4 practices, he is exactly who everyone thought he would be.
Austin, don't get me hyped like that. Let's stay in the same world in the trenches, man. I've seen a lot of stuff as of late on interior offensive lineman Darius Gray. He seems to have enjoyed himself on his visit last week with the Vols. Where do they stand with him and high-rated interior offensive lineman in recruiting?
Tennessee's deep in that one. They really are. They're in a good spot there. Have to continue to work that one. Recruiting is so different now than it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, much less 5 years ago. And it is the Stone Ages from when you went through it. So, and it's not even that long ago. I'm just saying 20 years ago is like 200 years ago. The way it all works now. Like, it's not, because of the NIL stuff, what kids are saying in February and March pales to what they'll be saying in May and June when you get to, the decision time, the official visits, the NIL meetings. Because at the end of the day, I'm not saying that money's everything, because it's not, because a lot of kids are going to have apples to apples when it comes to money. And so then it comes down to old school recruiting. But, until you really start having those money talks and figure out, okay, what somebody values you at, then, it's all just kind of posturing, right? Tennessee's done a good job in the posturing phase. They've done a nice job to this point. Tennessee's deep in it. And, if the NIL part is good all across the board for different schools, then he's going to look at those set of schools and go, okay, that's, where do I feel best? Okay, my best relationships are Tennessee. NIL is about the same. I'm going to where my best relationships are. And so to this point, Tennessee's done a fantastic job with Darius Gray. And I don't mean that that's a Darius Gray thing. I think that's every prospect, right? Like, I think it's just the way it's all, the way the sausage is cooked or the hamburger's cooked or whatever, you want to use, it has changed. And so, now I think you're looking at, May, June, July as those months where like everything really picks up. But to this point, you're getting him to campus. He's enjoying everything he's seeing. And, he knows that Tennessee is a top priority he's a top priority for Tennessee. And that's why he's looking at Tennessee pretty heavy.
A little bit of football, a little bit of basketball and baseball with VolQuest's Awesome Price this morning, who joins us Tuesdays at 8:20. Great stuff as always, Austin. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Austin Price with some good nuggets on David Sanders that has Ramon ready to book his college football playoff trip again next year.
That might be my first overall pick. Never mind.
Might be do it.
That might be doing.
I mean, he's that good. He could be a future first overall pick if he lives up to the very big hype. But Sam Pendleton, his new guard playing right on the inside, to him, has raved about him. So.
I'm glad to see Satterwhite also get a little praise last week. Yeah. It's about time you start seeing those young guys. Max Anderson's another one you hope to see at least become rotational for the Vols.
I like it. 615-737-1045. The NIT messed up. They messed up worse than even the NCAA tournament did. A wild story you have to hear to believe coming up next.
It's Ramon Foss for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Good people, you know Hiller, man. They've been around since 1990. They are family owned and operated, which is always one of the better things, especially if you're here in the city, man. Dealing with local. Jimmy Hiller, though, is recently named amongst the most admired CEOs because of the way he truly cares for his team and his clients. Hiller will take care of the customers on every job, every time, and they stand by their work. The guarantee is this: happy you'll be or the service is free. If a customer isn't pleased with the work performed, they will make it right. Trust me, they had to bring some stuff back to my house. That's just how it goes sometimes, but they will always make it right with you. Man, they send a professional, experienced, trustworthy technicians to come into your home and leave it clean and better than they found it. They also offer you true transparency pricing. What that means is this: every part of the job is lined up front, so homeowners understand what they're paying for and why. No hidden fees, no added costs, no surprises when you get your bill. It's that simple with Hiller. Listen, to book with them or to simply learn more, go to happyhiller.com.
RKW is brewed by Scooter's Coffee on 104.5 The Zone as we transition to the final conversation of Hour 3. I'm showing and telling here on 104.5 The Zone TV. This is the Ethiopia blend, a light roast with hints of cocoa, vanilla, and berries. I have to learn what the notes are because my palate is not sophisticated enough to understand what I'm tasting. I just know that I like it.
It's like wine.
This stuff is terrific.
What's a part of it?
It's got sort of a oaky afterbirth, as Michael Scott would say. No.
Oaky.
So we'll report back. This is brewing right now over in our kitchen. So Ethiopia blend light roast.
I'm going to have to pull up.
Roasted and packaged in Scooter's Coffee national headquarters in sunny Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha and I get along great. You know who deserves to be roasted?
Who?
The National Invitational Tournament.
Oh, my.
Also known as the NIT. South Alabama. Their season is over after their NIT invitation was rescinded. Richie Riley is not happy about this. He says he was informed late Sunday evening that his team had been invited to the NIT because UC Riverside declined its invitation due to a previous commitment to play in the CBI, which is a tournament with no NCAA affiliation. However, shortly after Riley informed his team they would play in the NIT, UC Riverside said, actually, never mind. Got out of its commitment to the CBI. They then accepted their NIT bid, and now South Alabama, after telling all their players, actually, our season's gonna keep going. Not anymore.
Yeah,
that is demerit.
That is definitely a demerit. Like, you go to a corner, you're in timeout with that one, Jayhawk. Absolutely not, man. That sucks for South Alabama. And again, you can't renege on a commitment like that. Oh, now you want to research what the CBI is. The money's not going to be there. The notoriety's not going to be there. The competition's not going to be there. And you wanted to just crap on the NIT? Oh, no, you don't get to come back home, sir. No, you left. And then on top of that, like, to inform South Alabama that they were in. That right there is just, this to me, and my first thought was, see, this is why the portal is what it is. This is why players leave the way they want to now. It's because there's no loyalty in this anymore. Like, I feel like we're bragging on what the NIT can be. By the time you get to the to the Elite Eight of that, like, it's good competition.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Why would you crap on that right there? That's trash. That's trash.
I can't believe, like, the whole thing in terms of how it went down of prematurely inviting them. I mean, how does that all exactly break down and then you renege on that? You know what I'm saying? I don't understand that whole process. And I was listening to Steve Lehman on Buck's show yesterday also speak about Belmont and them not getting an invitation. It seems like there's a lot of just different things they're trying to do right now with that NIT tournament and all these other tournaments. If you're not the NCAA, there's not like clear communication going on.
It's not. And I'm looking at it right now. The presenting sponsors for the CIB is what it is, the CBI, College Basketball Invitational, as of late. And that's all it is, in a sense, like Purple Innovation, respectfully. Like last year was Discount Tire. It's I think they thought they were going to get in something that was going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit better, a little bit more endorsements for them, and it didn't turn out for UC Riverside. You just can't pull out the way they did. The last winners was Seattle last year. And actually, MTSU was runner-up in 2022.
Yeah, it's funny. There are a lot of teams now, I feel like, that decline NIT invitations, too, like in the lower levels of the Power Five.
Yep.
Because, again, it's a showcase for their players to get poached elsewhere. But you're right. I mean, Belmont being the 4 seed in a very, very, very good Missouri Valley this year.
Yeah.
And pushing Drake to the wire in the semifinals of that tournament as well. Makes no sense why Belmont was not invited.
No, it does
Completely agree with that as well. Let's go to Graham next up on the phones. What's up, Graham?
How y'all doing?
Good morning.
I got another way the NIT messed up this year. So the school I went to, Miami of Ohio, they were the second team in the MAC. They lost by 2 points in the MAC championship to Akron. Akron deservingly goes to the big dance. Miami not invited to the NIT, but Kent State, who Miami beat 3 times this season and beat in the tournament and finished ahead of in league play, was invited to NIT. So if they want to leave out MAC teams, that's cool. But if you're going to invite one, invite the second best MAC team.
Wow.
That'd be nice.
That's a fair complaint.
Miami of Ohio's AD and head football coach going at Tim Duncan, who I believe is Memphis's AD, who is on the committee for the NIT.
Memphis.
They're giving him some choice words on Twitter for snubbing
I'm
Miami of
sure.
Ohio.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Well,
Appreciate that nugget.
Another opportunity to disparage University of Memphis, I will take. So, wow.
So
that's crazy, honestly.
Yeah.
I know. But Miami not getting on now. We got to start asking questions about the board of directors on the NIT. Like, it's that type of situation now. It's like, are you doing favors for your programs or friends of other programs?
Seriously.
It's just, it's low. NIT, don't do this. We already laugh at y'all anyway.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what kind of champion you are, you still are the 65th best.
Seems Bush League to me.
69th best. now.
69th best, you're right.
Yeah.
What a terrible number, depending.
615-737-1045 is our number this morning. Did not have Miami of Ohio basketball breakdown on the bingo card this morning, but it was a good one. Certainly a good one. Another mock draft. This time, Daniel Jeremiah. Would you be shocked if I told you he also has Cam Ward going to the Tennessee Titans?
I would not be shocked.
I peeped that.
Would not be shocked at all. So, kind of a slow news day in the NFL yesterday. It is mock draft time in Tennessee.
It is
mock draft time in the NFL, and we have, 6 weeks left until the Titans go on the clock
It'll be here
officially?
before we know it, guys.
That's the reason we got to parse through this entire, just pre-draft on every scenario for me, because as obvious as it is, we ain't got a clue what they really want to do here. And I'm here for all the shenanigans. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I'm like I've taken myself to the bug rising department.
What one's that? Which department?
Chaos.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I thought it might be Subway
I'm
Radio,
realistic about it.
Right.
I'm realistic about what the scenario is here in Tennessee as far as Cam Ward being the guy. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, J-Hawk. That's what we're looking for right there. Just in case it's too calm, Kayla. You know what I'm saying? Like the ducks on the top of the water, cool. Underneath, chaos.
Chaos.
I kind of want to know what's going on over there, and I ain't got a clue right now. Where
If
you
I
at,
could be
Will?
one thing right now, it'd be a fly.
You be a fly on that wall? No.
Absolutely.
You know what else you have to be? On poop. Okay? And garbage dumps. I don't know if I want to be a fly. I think there's a better being you can be there.
615-737-1045. We'll check back on our Twitter question this morning on a proposed trade from the Giants, written in Pro Football Focus's most recent mock draft. We'll see how many of you want it or don't want it. I'll tell you what, I've been surprised at some of the results, and we'll lead off hour 4 with that next. 9 o'clock, good morning for the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Will Bowling. The NCAA tournament begins today with the first four in Dayton, Ohio. North Carolina and San Diego State will be the battle in the late window. The matchup of 11 seeds. UNC closed the season strong with just 2 losses to Duke, including in the ACC semifinals in their last 10 games. Since the 2009-2010 season, San Diego State has the 6th best record in the country. They fell in the quarterfinals of the Mountain West tournament to Boise State. The winner of that one gets 6th-seeded Ole Miss on Thursday in the round of 64. And in a battle of 16 seeds tonight, the winner of St. Francis and Alabama State will play top overall seed Auburn on Thursday in Lexington. In the NFL yesterday, free agent pass rusher Azeez Ojulari agreed to a 1-year contract worth $4 million for the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Minnesota Vikings released longtime center Garrett Bradbury. The 29-year-old was selected 18th overall in 2019. He's manned the position for the last 6 seasons at center, starting all 88 games he appeared in for the Vikings. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Brewed by Scooter's Coffee for a hot and ready hour 4 of RKW. We love Scooter's Coffee. We got the Ethiopian light roast blend going this morning. And you can get some too with locations at White House, Mount Juliet, Rivergate, Smyrna, and Brentwood. Download the Scooter's Coffee mobile app today to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. We are very proud to have the best coffee in the area.
Heck yeah.
Partner with us
Yes,
here.
we
What
are.
do we think of this light roast blend? I'm going to try it on air for the first time.
I think it's good. I can taste a little bit of the vanilla notes in it, which I'm all down for vanilla all the time.
Ooh, that's very good.
Right?
That's not overly sweet,
No.
but you could definitely get vanilla in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still on the what's the name this morning? Snickerdoodle.
Are you?
I'm
Scooter Doodle.
Scooter
Scooter
Doodle.
Doodle?
Yeah.
I'm a slow
sipping?
coffee drinker.
Terrific.
Yeah, it's made me get through the entire show today, which I'm appreciative of.
Me too.
I
I know,
like
because we were all yawning. Well, I was yawning. I'm not going to speak
I had
for
a
you
few
guys.
moments.
I was
I yawn
yawning
all
this
the time.
morning.
I ain't gonna let you out there like
Yes.
that. That was on me too. I was out here yawning too. Okay? I'm gonna be real with you.
I was up too late last night playing MLB The Show, so I was yawning.
Right.
I did win the College World Series with Tennessee, so it's a realistic game.
There you go.
You not,
but I'm not very good at it.
Also, I just saw that baseball is back in Tokyo right now.
Yeah, it's crazy how MLB does this. It's like, oh, there's a regular season game happening right now.
Yeah.
And
by the way,
they just don't tell anyone.
I saw the sushi race happening.
They had a sushi race.
So, you got like, what's the Atlanta Braves, the guy, the Flash,
the
right?
Freeze.
The Freeze or whatever.
Yeah.
They've got in
Beat the
DC.
Freeze.
You got the.
Well, the
different
Braves also have the
presidents.
Home Depot tool race.
That's right.
So they do multiple.
Yeah, and they have sushi here.
Because it's the
Yeah.
Japanese series.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. That's actually pretty cool right
kinda
there.
funny.
Mookie's not playing us. So he got sick going over.
I know.
The Dodgers did win today, so
There you go.
it's Groundhog Day.
I know.
Right. They did
What's
win.
new?
Yeah. Game's already over.
Dodgers win again.
I saw some of speaking of that in Arizona. That's where they hold their training camp or spring training at also. And we stayed next to some people that was doing the exact same
Right.
thing, going to spring training in Arizona. And this guy, man, he know they got a good team. And I almost made
Dodgers fan, you
I
said?
almost made the Dodgers in general my you're not that guy this week because that team costs for a soda in their stadium is like $13.
Yeah.
Like a hot dog is like $12
Gotta pay
inside.
Ohtani somehow.
Gotta pay him somehow, Will. And then they know this too. That crowd is gonna show up. But you want to talk about like the spring training in Arizona? There are so many Dodger hats out
fans,
there.
yeah.
They travel, and it may be cheaper to go see them in Arizona.
Well, it's known it's because they're good now. So,
I mean,
yes.
yes.
the fans come out.
And
they're
that
good.
fan base is historic also.
They are.
They're one of those types of teams that they going to always have a base. And it was kind of cool to see them. See, right now, D-Good hate the Dodgers.
Hate.
No shade to Jimmy White, though. He is a Dodgers fan.
But, yeah.
No shade to Jimmy.
And Jimmy's been down with
Just to your baseball team, Jimmy.
Yeah, just to your baseball. We're not even going to get on the Vandy thing at all. Just your professional baseball.
Just your baseball team.
Yeah, no doubt.
On Twitter this morning, at Ramon Kayla Will is where you can follow, stream, and interact with the program. We put out a question because Pro Football Focus has another mock draft that has the Giants trading up with the Tennessee Titans. In this mock draft, the Giants would receive the number 1 overall pick. The Titans would trade back to 3 and take Jackson Dart. We're not even going to get into the Jackson Dart part because that wouldn't happen, pretty simply. If they traded back to 3, Titans would receive 3, 65, 2026 first-round pick, 2026 third-round pick. Guys, I'm surprised to report that 58% of our audience would take that trade.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're down with the Borgonzi scheme in terms of just trying to build up capital, right?
Well, I don't think this is the Borgonzi scheme. I think that's just going to be taking Cam Ward.
Yeah.
But
well, I'm just saying
this is the Ramon Foster scheme.
What he preached,
Definitely
Borgonzi said
Sure.
he wants as many draft picks as possible. So what he said is somewhat that.
Ramon, you are also with the audience here. Why? On taking this deal.
On taking this deal, it's the 2 ones are intriguing to me. Still getting the top 3 pick this year. Get another first rounder next year, plus your own first round draft pick next year. Also, you get a third to satisfy. We had the complicated conversation earlier about wide receiver edge. You get a more complete draft this year, even more picks next year. You get a first and a third next year too. Like that to me is, if they hit right, can be franchise shifting, right? And I've seen people say, of course, well, that's a loser's mentality. You got to go get it right now. And a lot of people correlate what I'm saying to what I wouldn't do in Pittsburgh. I'm telling you right now, I'd do the exact same thing in Pittsburgh if they was in the same conversation. Well, you wouldn't want Pittsburgh. I would. Pittsburgh has a quarterback issue right now, too.
You mean you don't want the Titans to be bad? What do you mean?
I don't want the
Because that's
Titans
what
to
you
be
get
bad.
accused of when you say you don't want Cam Ward on social media.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't. My thing is this. I've seen I've seen good core teams with a lot of good talent make a quarterback look better. And I think at this point, a quarterback can save your team, right? I do think looking with what Washington did last year is what a lot of people are going to correlate to what you need to do with Cam Ward. The issue that I have with that is they went out and got a whole lot more free agents than the Titans have so far in this free agent cycle. And it's only, what's the date, Will? March?
The 18th.
The 18th. It's still early. You still got your Aprils. You still got your June and July signings, too, that can happen. But in order for Cam to be successful, I'd much rather him be with a better team as a base than to say, hey, I told somebody in our chat, I was like, I saw Kenny Pickett get double-digit wins, not because of him, but because the team was strong. How strong is this team? We had a conversation about 2 weeks ago about, like, this roster, respectfully, is not a very competitive roster. You got some competitive pieces and some hope in guys like Jarvis Brown, Lee, et cetera. But, like, I much rather have the quarterbacks be in a spot to where they're in a support role, not a let me drag you to the finish line, because respectfully, I do think there's a discrepancy between Jaden Daniels of last year and Cam Ward's talent of this year.
Not the same player.
It's not the same player. And I can say that without saying, oh, you're a hater. It ain't about hate sometimes. But here's the other part, though, too. The Titans need a guy. That's bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's to the point where whether you wanted to draft a quarterback or you wanted to trade back, the signs are all out there that the Titans feel this is what suits them best at this point, because they could have probably made a different move, been a little bit more aggressive in the quarterback free agency market. Now, whether or not quarterbacks wanted to come here, that's another story, but money does talk, and they do have the money to make certain things happen. They decided not to do that. It obviously, they showed they waited more than anything. I mean, you still have a couple quarterbacks out there and you're waiting for dominoes to fall where they're going, but it's not going to be here in Tennessee. Instead, they opted to go sign Brandon Allen, which I just don't see at any point being a starter. And so that leads me to believe if it's not Cam Ward, it's Will Levis. And I just don't know if they're willing to give him another chance with no other viable options really behind him. That's to me more of the reach than going and getting Cam Ward at this point.
I agree. I would have liked to have Sam Darnold and do this trade at the beginning of the offseason. But here's the other part of that. If you sign Sam Darnold, it's probably not even offered to you.
Right.
This draft pick.
No.
You know,
right.
Like, are you really getting 2 firsts if you sign Darnold? I don't know. I am more interested in watching Cam Ward play for the Titans than I am Will Levis. at this point. I think Will Levis is beyond fixable as a Tennessee Titan. I think Cam Ward has an upward trajectory that intrigues me, even though I do believe his floor is also very low. Yeah. At this point, you got to take the risk. The only thing I would rather do, and it's not realistic because the Titans are not in for him, is sign Russell Wilson and take this trade. Because technically that is still an option. So is Aaron Rodgers. Both of them are still out there. But they're not in for Russell Wilson. They're not in for Aaron Rodgers, which brings your veteran quarterback options to Jameis Winston and Joe Flacco. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Not as a starter.
Best thing about Russell Wilson's situation right now is he's already lowered his value. Last year, I know he was getting paid from Denver, like a boatload of money, but he took a $1 million salary in Pittsburgh to make it work.
Exactly.
You ain't going to have to overpay him. Like, I think his salary is almost at a point, respectfully, is probably under Justin's.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what that looks like this year because he was still getting paid by Denver
30
to where he could, against your cap in Pittsburgh, be nothing.
Yeah.
It's weird, too, that whole thing with Pittsburgh and what's going on. Supposedly they're waiting for Aaron Rodgers. Like, if they don't get Aaron and he goes to the Vikings or the Giants, it's kind of funny. Like, do we have to settle for Russell Wilson? Like, is that okay with Russell Wilson, too? Like, it's just a weird dynamic this year with these quarterbacks that remain in terms of they're all waiting on A-Rod, and it's like they're second best no matter where they go. It's just a very weird dynamic.
It's because these dudes usually retire.
Right.
We don't usually
and they're still floating around.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's closer to a gold jacket, I think, than winning the Super Bowl.
For sure.
Now.
It is interesting, though. The fact that the team that's the trade partner for the Titans is the Giants has added a lot more to this discussion. Let's say, for conversation, the Carolina Panthers didn't have Bryce Young, and they were the team sitting at 3 who made the most sense to trade up. I don't think nearly this many national talking heads would be projecting them to trade up. I think national people want the Giants to get the quarterback. Because, let's be honest, New Jersey market, New York market, Northeast, big money team, national media and ESPN, like all these people, they want the Giants to have the best quarterback. They don't want you in Tennessee to have the best quarterback. They don't want you to have the best possible option at quarterback through all of this. So I think the fact that it's the Giants and it gets clicks and it gets attention has lended more to the trading up discussion than perhaps if this was a smaller market team that could trade up to number 1.
You know what also you deal with, too, with that same point? That's the big New York is a bigger market than L.A.
Yeah, it's the biggest market in the
number
country.
1, LA's 2.
That's your biggest market, and both them teams suck. And then you gotta also think the NFL offices are in New York also. Like
the New York teams
that.
do.
Yeah. I mean,
LA teams don't.
But to your point about it's more advantageous for the NFL to want. No. That's what I meant. Like, as far as like you wanting them to get it.
Yeah, for sure.
It leads
more
to the
mouths,
NFL business.
You have more mouthpiece.
Absolutely.
I genuinely believe the Titans went into this process leaning towards wanting to trade back.
Yeah.
And were probably just won over by Cam Ward when they met with him.
That's what I think happened.
I think it's what's going on.
I really do.
And all of what we have read from Daniel Jeremiah this morning, from Mel Kiper, what we heard from Jeremy Fowler earlier in the show on the Dan Patrick Show, it just feels to me like Cam Ward convinced them.
Yep.
Through the process.
I'm with you on that, Will.
And that's where we are. So, but to the point about do you listen to trade offers, they'll probably pick up the phone. Yeah. But if you love Cam Ward, it's not a very long conversation. You just draft the quarterback and you're done with it. And that appears to be where we are.
Still trading.
Coming up, shifting gears to March Madness. I'm going to be accused of silencing you because I disagree with you now because that's what people think this morning.
What?
I know. Yeah, these things are all timed. We have things to get to. David Cobb of CBS Sports talks March Madness and NCAA tournament with us next.
Is your concrete in need of repair? Maybe your sidewalk is shifting, your driveway is cracked or sinking, Or your porch steps, maybe they've moved on you. Shifting concrete can create a dangerous situation and trip hazard around your home. It's also just a big eyesore. Shimon Foston, whatever's going on with your concrete, call United Structural Systems. Ask them about their polyurethane foam injections. You've heard about USS for a long time. It's the same company that's provided superior foundation repair and waterproofing to Middle Tennessee since 1994. Well, guess what? They can fix your sunken or settling concrete. USS uses polyurethane foam injections to lift and repair your sunken concrete in a matter of minutes. Lifted concrete can also be walked on immediately or even driven on after 30 minutes. So don't go through that long, expensive process of ripping out and replacing concrete. Reach out to the company that I trust, man. You can go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com, or call them at 615-488-7855. United Structural Systems.
RKW is brewed by Scooter's Coffee as Hour 4 continues this morning. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling talking March Madness with our good friend David Cobb of CBS Sports, who was in the building for the SEC tournament over the weekend. David, what's going on, man? How are you?
Well, what's going on? Well, I kept looking around the corner like, where's Will Bowling at? I figured you were going to show your face. I never saw you.
I was lurking, and then I was in a wedding. Otherwise, you would have seen my face, David.
I can tell you where Will was if you really want to know.
I want to know.
Will wasn't with the common folk, okay? He was with me in a suite is where he was.
No, it's fine.
I kid. He was around.
It was a good time. David, how in the world is anyone going to beat Florida? That is what I come out of this experience thinking, because they look like world beaters, considering what they made Tennessee and Alabama look like over the weekend.
Oh, no, I'm with you, man. They're my sort of preliminary pick to win it all. I reserve the right to alter my bracket before Thursday, but as of now, I got the Gators winning the whole thing. The thing, though, is they're in the West region, which is the toughest region. I mean, you got to play two-time reigning national champion UConn potentially in the second round. That's tough. St. John's is in there. Texas Tech, I think, is the best 3 seed in this bracket. So it won't be easy. Their path is tough, but you're right, Will, dude. They are just a machine right now, and there are no flaws with Florida. That's what sticks out when you watch the Gators.
What impressed you about Tennessee and just their total performance over the weekend, David? I feel like Vols fans have been pretty reasonable with the fact that Florida on their day is better than probably everybody in the country right now, and maybe this was more about them being so good in that championship game versus Tennessee really messing it up.
Yeah, no doubt. I love the trio of guards, and I say trio now because it's not just Zakai Ziegler and Chaz Lanier. You got Jordan Gainey. Did you see what he did in the second half to will Tennessee back against Florida? That was unreal. I mean, that was star stuff. And you know what? We've been seeing that all year. Not every night necessarily, but you go back to the non-con. They don't win that game at Illinois without Jordan Gainey playing that well in that game. And so even when you got foul trouble and Chaz Lanier's off the floor, you got a chance. And that's what differentiates this Tennessee team from last year's team, because last year's team, if Dalton Knecht was not on the floor, you know, they didn't really have a chance. And it was a lot of Santi and Josiah Jordan-James deferring to Dalton Knecht, and understandably so. I mean, the guy was a first-round draft pick. But this year it seems like it's more of a team effort. And so even on those rare occasions when Chaz Lanier can't get it going, there's other options and other guys who are willing to step up and have the ability to go out and create a quality look. So I'm not going to say that Tennessee's an elite offensive team. I mean, that's not true, but they seem to have more options when the game is on the line than maybe they did a year ago.
David Cobb of CBS Sports is with us this morning talking NCAA basketball. Dave, I've heard a good friend, our brother here, Ron Slay, mention like the NCAA tournament is all about names and familiarity too. In this situation right here, you mentioned like having stars in the Final Four matter. Do you see St. John's being one of those teams, man, that may get the edge over Kentucky, or if Missouri is really good coming out of that bracket in the West? Also, as you just mentioned, the West, like a Florida-St. John's matchup. I mean, that is a fight right there.
Rick Pitino versus Florida. I mean, that would be so good. Rick Pitino is the star at St. John's. He might be the star of this NCAA tournament. To get that program turned around so quickly in year 2, outright Big East regular season champions, Big East tournament champions. It's unreal what Rick Pitino has done for a program that was dormant for a quarter century before he arrived there. So. I love that West region. I look at the second round. You could have Rick Pitino against Bill Self or Rick Pitino against John Calipari. That's a made for CBS matchup right there for sure. So I just can't get enough of that quadrant of the bracket. There's so many good storylines, so many good teams. You mentioned a Missouri. I think Maryland's the best 4 seed in the bracket. I think you have the best 3 seed, the best 4 seed, and then Florida's playing as well as anybody in the country, and may very well be the best 1 seed.
With that being said of the West, like you said, this bracket is intriguing. Memphis, I mean, they're in it. But a guy, the 2-time national champion, Dan Hurley, just real quick on him, man. Is he becoming the villain that NCAA basketball needs in general? Like, has there ever been one? Bobby Knight, maybe? Like, Dan Hurley as of late has been trash talking at an elite level to not just the crowd, but to coaches telling them he got 2 rings. Like, where does he stand with this team in 2025, though?
Oh, yeah. Dan Hurley's on another level. And the crazy thing is he's under the microscope now. So to a certain extent, this is always who he's been. It's just people expect a certain level of decorum from you when you're the face of the sport. And he's like, no, I'm just unabashedly me. It's kind of fantastic that he's so authentic and he hadn't let all this success change him. And the Lakers were chasing him and LeBron wanted him. And he's just, no, I'm going to stay here in the Northeast and just be the same old Dan Hurley I've always been. So in that sense, I really respect who he is. But what a matchup could be there in the second round, Florida and UConn. I mean, I think that might be the best potential second round game for a number 1 seed. And if I'm Florida, I'm not thrilled when UConn pops up there right below me on the bracket. They're the 2-time reigning national champions. And if there's anybody out there who can scheme their way into competing with Florida, I trust UConn to do it because Dan Hurley is that good as a tactician. But absolutely, man, he's a villain. Except in this case, when you have an 8 next to your name, I think it takes a little bit of that edge off, right? I think people start to look at you in a little bit of a different light when you've got that 8 next to your name. However, if they were to make a run and sniff the Final Four right, then yes, Dan Hurley becomes the preeminent villain of this March Madness.
David Cobb of CBS Sports joining us this morning on RKW. We're talking NCAA tournament. So 14 teams this year. The best that we've ever seen in terms of a conference getting in teams to the NCAA tournament. David, how confident are you that one of these teams can actually win it all this year? And if not, though, or just looking the other way, what are you most worried about in terms of another team that could derail this all for the SEC?
Well, yeah, I'm really confident that Auburn and Florida have what it takes. And in fact, I'll even, that's the Tier 1A from the SEC. It's Auburn and Florida. Tier 1B, Alabama and Tennessee. I think if things break right, either of those could certainly end up in the Final Four, and we'll see what happens from there. Those are the 4 that I really have circled. They were the 4 at the SEC tournament semifinals. There is a fairly significant drop off after those 4 from the SEC. Not to say that the rest of the teams from the conference can't win games in this tournament, but in terms of teams that you look at as a true Final Four threat, I really think it's those 4 because Kentucky's limping in here with some injuries. Lamont Butler can't stay healthy. Jackson Robinson's out for the season. Andrew Carr has been dealing with a back issue for quite a while. So they're just not at 100%. And then Texas A&M is just too erratic to trust, too up and down. So we'll see. But when I spoke with Garth Glissman, who's the associate SEC commissioner in Nashville this past week, he was straightforward with telling me, in the SEC, we're judged by national championships. That's the standard. So I don't think there's a number like, 8 of the 14 have to advance past the first round or 5 of the 14 have to make the Sweet 16. I think if you ask the SEC, they'll tell you our expectation is to win the national title. Now, we all understand NCAA tournament is insane. Anything can happen. So I don't think they're necessarily going to call it a failure if they don't cut it down. But at the end of the day, when you're in a conference that has 13 of the last 19 football national titles and the last 5 baseball national titles and the last 3 women's basketball national titles, it looks really weird when Kentucky in 2012 is your last men's basketball national champion.
David Cobb with us this morning. We're talking about the NCAA tournament. I always love this, people who are filling out their brackets, and some do it blindly, but others, we put in a little research. What about a Cinderella type of story this year? There's always at least one. What are a couple of those teams that people can look out for who could make a deep run?
Yeah, give me UC San Diego in the South region. They're a 12 seed and they're playing Michigan, and I love the UC San Diego upset potential here because they force a ton of turnovers and Michigan turns it over a lot. That is the fatal flaw of the Wolverines, is that they cough the ball up all the time. And so people want to look at this matchup and say, UC San Diego's too small, Michigan has 2 7-footers. Okay, that is factually correct, but you know what? When FDU beat Purdue in the first round 2 years ago, they did it with the smallest lineup in the country, taking on a Purdue team that had Zach Edey. So I don't buy into the whole size thing. UC San Diego rates really, really highly in some of these predictive metrics for a mid-major team. So they're sort of my top Cinderella pick at the moment.
David Cobb of CBS Sports, our guest. David, what do you make of Kentucky and the draw they get? Tennessee fans, many of them would love the opportunity to knock the Wildcats out of the tournament. Others are thinking about the fact that they were maybe Tennessee's kryptonite this year. What version of the Wildcats do you think we'll get in the Midwest region?
I mean, first of all, I think you just got to salute Mark Pope for getting his team to the finish line with 8 victories over top 15 opponents, hastily thrown together roster. I think he's done a fantastic job. Don't look at Kentucky, though, and see a team that's poised for a deep run. In fact, it's why I have Tennessee going to the Final Four out of this region. Jawan Roberts, the star big for Houston, the heart and soul of their team, has a gimpy ankle right now. They're the 1 seed in that region. Then, for the reasons I mentioned with Jackson Robinson, Lamont Butler, Kentucky is banged up. They're not at 100%. So I don't love the draw for Kentucky. Illinois is finally a team that I think is getting closer to healthy. They could be dangerous. But Tennessee's already beaten Illinois in their place. And so I know the question was about Kentucky more so than Tennessee. Sure. But I can't talk about this pod without sort of getting on to why I think Tennessee could really make a run here. It's, we know as well as anybody that you just can't trust Tennessee and Rick Barnes this time of year. And, but look, last year they made the Elite Eight run. They ran into Purdue. Okay, like that was an immovable force. This year I think the path has paved for them to potentially get to San Antonio. And so Kentucky's a great 3 seed. I know Tennessee lost to them twice. But one, it's really hard to beat a team 3 times in the same season. And just given Kentucky's health, I think Tennessee would be favored in that matchup.
So, David, who out of that top tier in the SEC, the 1A and 1B you mentioned, and those top 4 seeds of Auburn, Florida, Tennessee, and Alabama, who has the best chance out of the SEC teams to make a run other than those 4?
Yeah, I would go fairly far down the ballot a little bit there and say, well, Ole Miss is a 6. They kind of stand out as somebody that could pop because it's Chris Beard,
right?
And he's got a reputation for doing big things in March. And the other one, they've been here as of late, but Missouri, like when Missouri is clicking, they are a bear to deal with offensively. I mean, they can just fill it up. Caleb Grill can hit shots from the logo, and there's no real way to defend that. So they're limping in here pretty bad. They've had a rough go of it, but this is where it's going to get interesting. Now that you finally get to play teams that aren't from the SEC, it's kind of going to be that litmus test of how tough was the league, because now you get to go up against what should, at least in theory, be a lesser competition. That should help you out quite a bit. When you're not playing Florida, you're not playing Kentucky, you're not playing Texas A&M. You're playing an 11 seed. You're playing Drake, who is a big time sleeper pick. But yeah, I would look at Missouri, Ole Miss, 2 teams that I think have really good coaches, and they're sort of just quietly existing in this bracket. And those teams sometimes can come up out of nowhere to make a run.
But that's where also, locally here in Nashville, we have the conversation about Mark Byington and Vanderbilt. Like, that's a good team also. They got to go up against St. Mary's in this first round. But the job that he's done this year and the athletes that he have and the system that he's put in place, one, tip of the cap to him. But how do you view Vanderbilt going into this March Madness atmosphere also for the first time in a little bit? If they make it,
just incredible job by Mark Byington. Incredible job to inherit what he inherited and to take this Vanderbilt team to the NCAA tournament. It's unreal. He breathed life into Vanderbilt basketball with those home wins over Tennessee and Kentucky. And sure, they brought hefty fines, but probably worth it. Probably worth it to put Vanderbilt basketball on the map. Without a bona fide star, they have Jason Edwards. He's an electric scoring guard, but they don't trust him defensively. They take him off the floor late in the game when it's an offense-defense situation. But he's a really good player. But my point is, they don't have like an All-American. Like, there's not one guy that you're looking at and saying, well, this explains why Vanderbilt is back in the tournament. So no, it's a situation where the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And I think when that's the case, you got to look at the coach and give a tip of the cap. And so, what's cool about Vandy too, a lot of these guys could return, right? Like, it's the NIL era, and you never know in the portal, and of course you'll lose somebody. But so many of these transfers that he brought in have multiple years of eligibility. So they could run this thing back to a certain extent next year too, which is pretty neat. I don't love the draw. St. Mary's is tough. And then, when you got 14 teams in the bracket, it's inevitable that there's going to be some rematches somewhere along the way, especially early on, which they typically try to avoid. And in this case for Vanderbilt, you could end up having to play Alabama in the second round, which is not something you often see. So I don't know that I love that matchup either. But at the end of the day, just to be here, to be dancing, incredible job by this Vanderbilt basketball team.
David Cobb of CBS Sports on with us this morning on RKW. We're talking about the NCAA tournament coming up, playing games starting tonight. David, when it comes to Alabama, I know you wrote about this, and I encourage you guys to go on and check out his work as well. In terms of Bama making a deep run, they're obviously capable of it. What are some things, though, that they've got to fix here when the tournament starts up this weekend?
Yeah, it's defense, and it's the interior toughness. Cliff Omarui, they're big. He's a great player. He has 1 rebound, though, in the semifinal loss. I mean, you're a 7-footer. And Grant Nelson was out for the second half of that game. How do you end up with 1 rebound? So, it's the toughness, the defense, and that's the sort of stuff that Nate Oates was pointing to after they lost in the semifinals. He's a guy, we got to figure out how much we want this, and, sort of sending a message to his team to a certain extent there. So they have been better defensively at times this season than they were last year when they made the Final Four. That was their Achilles heel. They are better defensively, but they have to decide. It's like they have to commit to it on a game-by-game basis. It's not baked into their DNA like it is at Tennessee, where you just know you're going to roll the ball out and they're going to defend the crap out of you. It's not really the same way with Alabama. So they got to kind of decide on a game-by-game, minute-by-minute basis how committed they are to defending. Because when you play the way they do and you're getting shots up quick and you're playing fast, right, like defense can easily fall by the wayside. So that's my only hang-up with Alabama in looking at them and seeing whether or not they can make a national title run is, can they consistently play defense for 6 games in a row? And then the other element is just how healthy is Grant Nelson. He left the semifinal game late in the first half with a knee injury. The update yesterday from Nate Oates was encouraging, but if he's not 100%, that's going to hurt them a bit.
David Cobb has been our guest this morning, covering college football and basketball for CBS Sports at David W. Cobb, where you follow him on Twitter, and a Daily Beacon alumnus as well, the University of Tennessee. David, great to catch up with you as always, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, shout out, Will. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. There's David Cobb with us. Love his work. Does a great job.
Good stuff.
I have to grab one of those next time I'm around, man.
The
Student
Daily
paper.
Beacon.
Yeah.
Student papers.
I can get you one today.
I love them.
Yes.
Bring you one back.
He'll be on campus.
Seriously, bring one back for real.
I used to cover baseball in Tennessee with David, my buddy Rob Harvey, shout out, who is still in the biz, working for Walter State, great JUCO program up in Morristown, Tennessee. Dustin DePirac of the Knoxville News Sentinel, who was there at that point. Jeez. End of list. There were 3 of us.
That's it. Oh,
back in the day that would cover Tennessee baseball when I was a freshman at Tennessee in 2016. And David's a grinder. Does a great job.
By the way, and it's not an event. This is Vanderbilt's first March Madness. First NCAA tournament since 2017 is when it was. I decided to look that up myself.
Coming up next, I am a nerd. Don't clip that. So I have got things that will have to happen for teams to make the Final Four based on Ken Pom and numbers. So I've got a thread on that I'll share with you when we come back. Plus, there is a star of the NCAA tournament you might not have heard of yet that you're going to hear about soon. Coming up next.
If you're often feeling tired, lacking motivation and drive, man, or fellas, gaining weight or noticing a loss of muscle mass, these could all be signs of low testosterone. Listen to me. Don't wait. Go ahead and find out. Because at Low T Center, they make it easy to get your levels checked. And it's just a simple test. And with their on-site lab, you'll get your results back right there. Trust me, I've got mine right there on the spot, y'all. Low T Center is not a typical doctor's office either. Their physicians specialize in treating low T with testosterone replacement therapy or TRT for each patient. The experts at Low T Center have over a decade of experience helping patients. And super important, the personal treatment plans are optimized for each patient. These aren't just basic standard treatments. No, absolutely not. And for you current patients too, man, Low T Center offers you a $150 referral credit for each new patient that you refer. Low T Center, you can also get your health evaluated with treatment with prescription GLP-1 weight loss medication. So get back to your best. Go to lowtcenter.com to book your appointment today. That's lowtcenter.com. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Oh, it feels so good to hear this music, but man, it gets my heart rate up. RKW brewed by Scooters Coffee. Wrapping up the show this morning. Download the Scooters Coffee mobile app to order ahead and save $2 off your first mobile order. This song to me sounds like the best 2 days of the year.
It is
which are in 2
exciting.
days.
It does get you excited.
It does.
You know, that Thursday comes around and you're like, why isn't this a holiday again? Because, and you're like, it's all begun.
I'm serious. If I had my watch on today, my heart rate would be going up right now.
Heart rate is through the roof on that one, man.
It's just the sound of tension in a good way. I love it so much.
You know what you sound like on that one? You remember Lion King when one of the hyenas was going, Mufasa. Ooh, when Jayhawk played that, it was almost like he was going, Mufasa.
Madness. March Madness.
No doubt,
Anyway.
man. It's fun, dog.
Are you guys familiar with Amir Khan?
No.
You're about to be.
right,
The McNeese State manager, guys, is the first student manager to sign an NIL deal.
I know
you guys see this yesterday? He has signed NIL deals with Buffalo Wild Wings, Tick Pick, and Insomnia Cookies because he is the manager who holds the boombox leading the McNeese State men's basketball team onto the court. And he is an absolute electric factory. He raps every word to songs that are just rap.
Yeah, rated R.
Songs that, yeah, okay. That's the best way to say it. That are rated R. I was looking for the right word.
No, let's keep it simple.
Well, when
right
I heard
there.
Tick Pick, I thought rated R. So
Yeah. I don't know what it is. It ain't
Popular ticket website.
It is. It's okay. Well, look, that's dope for
I'll
him,
be
man.
professional.
This is what social media pays off.
I
You
won't.
be
I will not be
Stop
professional.
out. This is what social media pays, man. Like it does. Guys like him. I just hope the rest of the team got a cut of that though too, because they are the product that everybody want to see. He's just become famous as ever right now. Good for him, man. That's tough. He just doing his thing. He just doing his thing embedded in the culture down there.
I love it when there's always a team that comes out with like fans that get behind it, like a Cinderella, but more so like when a player comes out. Who's the fella from NC State?
Big boy last year.
Jay
Yeah.
Burns.
Oh
Jay
my
Burns.
gosh. I mean, he
VFL.
became
Not really.
but he was for a minute.
He's
what?
not a VFL.
We can't claim
Was
him.
it
He
just
played for Tennessee,
Yeah,
but he's
just
not a
a little
VFL.
He was on campus.
If you transfer
He's on
after 1
campus.
year, you're not a VFL.
But he's so.
Is that the rule?
Yeah.
Oh, is that okay?
All right.
He was
yeah.
so fun to follow. In that, don't tell me that he was not easy to get behind.
yeah, he
Like
was.
he was so. And
He was.
I think I just saw a thing too. He's playing
refrigerator.
over in Europe or something
I
right
think
now.
it's Japan as well.
Japan.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
the NFL
yeah.
tried to turn him into a lineman.
Right?
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, it's disrespectful. Just let a good basketball player be a good basketball player. You guys,
South Korea.
and I do mean you guys, look at good athletes in other sports and say, oh, you should come play our sport. No.
Hey.
Sometimes a good hoops player is just a good hooper.
That man 6'9", 3 bills.
Nah, I don't need to see him run a 3-cone drill. I need to see him get buckets.
Look, man. That's
all I need.
Put that right foot back. He can start for the Titan right now,
Well,
Will.
that's a low bar. So, I mean, low
Damn.
bar. So could half the high school right tackles around Middle
Call him up
Tennessee.
in South Korea. Hey,
In Class 6A.
want to play for the Titans?
That's
Dalton
something. Yeah,
Cates
he
puts this out yesterday. Things to remember when making your bracket. Here we go. One simple hack you aren't thinking about that 88% of Final Four teams have in common since 2002. Allow me to share. Using Ken Palm's pre-tournament data, we want to see a team be good or decent on both offense and defense. 88% of Final Four teams were both adjusted offense and adjusted defense, top 50 in college basketball entering the tournament. 88%.
88%.
I heard
So
that.
these teams that will not make the Final Four. Kentucky. We'll see you, pal. Purdue. Thanks for coming out. 63rd in adjusted defense. Frauds. Zach Edey Merchants. Not going to make it. BYU. 68th in adjusted defense. Hit the showers. Missouri. 73rd in adjusted defense. And St. John's. 65th in adjusted offense. I'm not on. I think St. John's gets bounced quickly.
You think they get bounced quickly?
We'll see you,
wow.
Patino.
Latino peace.
He does say, Dalton Cates, when we are choosing our Final Four teams, we want teams that are balanced but also elite in one area. 78% of Final Four teams were either top 10 in adjusted offense or adjusted defense. Teams that fit that criteria in the Midwest region, your Tennessee Volunteers, Houston, Gonzaga,
Zags?
and Clemson. Clemson going to be a popular dark horse pick. in the Midwest region.
That's true.
They were one step away from the Final Four last year. They were in the Elite Eight when they lost to Alabama. In the East, fitting that criteria, Duke, Alabama, Wisconsin and Arizona almost, but Duke and Alabama. Okay. It's them and everyone else in the East. In the South, 4 teams fit that criteria of elite in one area and top 50 in both. Auburn, Michigan State, Iowa State, Texas A&M, all Final Four contenders.
Michigan State.
According to the analytics. And in the West, Florida, Texas Tech, and Maryland, the Crab Five, as they're calling it. The highest scoring starting 5 in all of college basketball is a contender as well.
The Crab Five?
Yeah, have y'all not heard about that?
No, I have not. That's
former Belmont
name.
point guard and Greenville product, Jacoby Gillespie, a member of the Crab Five.
That's kind of elite right there.
Maryland's all
like
the way
that.
up in the Northwest, too. That is a trek.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of like that one right there. By the way, man, shout out to Izzo, man, in Michigan State. They weren't spoken about much this year, and they've gone on to collect the number 2 seed right now, man.
Yeah.
I used to love watching them back in the day, man. It's good for
I can't
basketball.
believe
You got
Izzo's still there.
blue blood. I know.
It's wild.
Getting it in.
So I've not fact-checked this, but according to, again, this thread, there have been 7 teams to be both top 5 in offense and defense, according to KenPom entering the tournament. 6 of those have been champions. The other team lost in the championship. One team fits that criteria of top 5 in offense and defense, the Duke Blue Devils. In the whole tournament. I know. I don't like it, but Duke is my natty pick, and to me, it's an easy choice this year because at the very least, they're going to make the Final Four, considering how balanced they are.
You know who has the best chance at getting a team in out of all of us?
Who's that?
Babs.
Babsy.
She's a Duke and an Auburn fan.
can't do that.
The best of both
She's going to have to declare one.
Dang.
Going to have to declare one for the NCAA tournament. I'm sorry,
They
Dawn.
should make her do it
Love
on
you,
the
If you go to a big university,
I'm sure she will declare
you
one.
can't have a junior team is the way I view this. Just like Zach Lyons is Memphis. Memphis is in the tournament. Memphis.
Not for long. Analytics say they're the most overseeded team in the whole dance.
He's
Makes
a
me really
Bama
upset.
guy, though. So
we're back at it tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. here on the show. We will have Rhett Bryan as we start positional previews in the NFL draft.
Look at alliteration
With the executive
on that.
producer of Titans Radio. Talk to you at 6 a.m. tomorrow.
No doubt about it. And good people, you remember at all times, man, your Twitter fingers and your mic are always hot.